y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Collector's Quest podcast. I'm Tyler here with my partner, Johnny.
Howdy, Tyler. It's good to hear you. Some people asked for dumb voices, so here y'all go. I do voices and they are stupid sometimes, and I used to do them more often on the show because it was required at times, because sometimes I felt the energy flagging, not with you, and then I would just do them. And other times I just get loopy and then I do them anyways. It was born of necessity. Now it's less so.
You're justifying to people why the podcast is worse now. So as long as you explain it, they can put up with the podcast being.
No, I just want them to know why they're being less entertained. Like what happened. I was like, if it's required, I have it in me. Do you need any more voices? Any other things I need to do? Juggle or something before we go on?
Absolutely not. I was seeing if anything happened in the world of game collecting, but the time between Christmas and the first week of the new year is such a slow time for literally everything that I don't know what we can even talk about.
Well, I mean, someone listed an Outback Joey for $30,000.
Wait, what's Outback Joey, Johnny?
Oh, it's
Johnny. I'm only 21 years old. I've never heard of this boomer crap.
By the way, you're not 21 anymore, Tyler. You are becoming an aged person. Okay. You weren't hip or with it. The kids aren't on your side anymore. You're a fucking grandpa to them, just like me.
Johnny, my wrists always hurt and I have ringing in my ears and it's never going to go away.
Yep. Congratulations. You are what all the young people call a boomer. Just whatever. There's only young people and boomers. This is the only spectrum.
Yes. And
you are now a boomer. Congrats. You made it. Especially after you gave savings advice in the last episode or 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. That's good advice. Yeah. Get money out of your bank account, guys. Just automatically transfer that crap out and then you won't spend it. It's such a good.
Everybody, if you're not maximizing your 401k, what are you even doing?
Yeah, guys, what is 401k? It's like $23,000 max. Dump all your money in a 401k.
Get that employer match, and if you're not matching, then I really have some serious questions for your financial advisor.
Oh my! If you're like not even doing the 5% employer match or whatever employers give for them, oh my God, John, you are just
you're throwing away free money.
And you're throwing away free money on video games, like Outback Joey for $30,000.
Well, Tyler, to be fair, if you bought Outback Joey a few years ago at $3,000 or $5,000 and you get a cool $30,000 for it now, you are beating inflation and the stock market and gold. Come on, this is a real investable. An investment level collectible. Sorry.
No, I like it. It makes it sound like a new type of like Furby. Yeah. Like, go get your investable now.
Yeah. This is an investable.
Guaranteed to be worth twice as much in 2034.
I said it, but when I said investable, you knew exactly what I meant. It makes sense.
Absolutely.
In the world of shortening words, I think investable is here to stay.
I think it should be a word that the fractional share companies use. Like, they're like, oh, we just got this new Funko Pop. It's the hot new investable.
Yeah, I think so.
Go get a 10,000th of it.
Yeah, you can put it next to a picture of a Lunchable. Just, to appeal to the kids. All right. Hey, Tyler, we have a correction to do for the last episode. Hey, if you listened to the last episode, sorry, y'all. We talked about prices, and I'm not going to rail on price charting too much here, but because this is I'm gonna take most of the blame here. But what they do, if you're not looking at a game individually, if you're looking at the system, they take off CIB and they put in just the average price, and that's trained to loose. And then the other price they put in there is median. So there's 2 prices there in blue and yellow. And if you don't know, on a game, blue and yellow are also the chart lines for CIB and loose. So it looks the same, but it's not actually talking about the same thing. I don't know why on cart only stuff it was loose. So all those prices we talked about for cart systems, only for the systems in general, those were loose prices. So please adjust your expectations. That we got a whole episode wrong and it was bullshit, and I said maybe we should delete it.
That was like one section of the last episode. But are you telling me that these systems that we called not collectible because they weren't more than MSRP, they might actually in fact be collectible?
Yeah, Genesis still isn't, so don't worry about that, guys.
But
Nintendo
NES
is.
might be I don't know if it would reach like $60 or $70, which is what the games were selling for, but it's probably close to that, right? It's probably in the 50s.
I think so. I was looking at Nintendo, and it looked like Nintendo was gonna like almost be 100, and Super Nintendo was gonna be over that. Is that beating what that money was inflated though? Like,
no, I don't care about inflation, dude. If you get over MSRP, no inflation, no nothing, you're collectible. You count.
Okay.
All those comic books that are in like the 25-cent bin, if they say 10 cents on it, they're collectible. I don't think there's a lot of 10-cent comics in 25-cent bin.
No, I think if you see a comic that says 10 cent on it, and it's still like that much money, you pick it up. Like if it's got a cover price.
Because it's collectible. So there it goes. Yeah. Inflation doesn't even factor into it. Look at that.
Okay. Yep. All right. So anyways, sorry guys. That is my fault because I was looking at that and I didn't pay enough attention. But also, why would you use the same colors? Why in the world would you just not have an option for CIB up there? Why would you put two lines? Why the fuck would anyone care about the median price? The median price in a set list, which is just the space between. Never mind. I'm not. If you don't know what median is, like we can do a quick rundown on. But I'm just gonna tell you, for set collecting, knowing the median is not really important. Hey, statisticians and analysts, feel free to fight me on that. Come at me. We can talk about why that's not a useful metric when talking about a set of games.
Johnny, we're taking a look at the median of the rarest video games in video game collecting. Kind of, sort of. Kind of putting it to like maybe one per console. One or two per console.
Can we talk about the mode of the prices instead?
Oh my God. The mode of the prices. The mode of an NES cartridge is actually $13.
Let's talk about mean versus average.
I don't want to. No one wants to. We're dealing with people who like buy so many video games they can't even put the games they own in a spreadsheet, let alone like start doing statistical operations in a spreadsheet, Johnny.
Come on, let's really get into average versus mean. People are gonna love it.
Maybe the average collectible price doesn't mean anything because this isn't like trading cards where there's 2,000 sales of the same object. Pretty much every single video game is like a bespoke thing, at least if you're talking about something with a cardboard box.
Yep. And conditions and all that. Anyways, yeah, we don't need to talk about the mean. I just like to make fun of the mean. Like that's there is a difference between mean and average.
I mean, we could turn this into a Vsauce episode. Just tell us that. I don't know if that's too YouTube-y of a reference for you. You probably still watch like cable TV, but
what the fuck are you talking? Cable TV? Get the fuck out of here, you goddamn child! Like, are you still using your mom's credit card? Is that how we're gonna attack each other?
What does that even mean?
Because you were a young child. Like, does your mom still paying your cell phone bill and like all that stuff?
No, I don't even know what my mom's on. No, my mom is paying my Easy Pass bill because I got that as a teenager and I've just been carrying that transponder around. I've no idea how that gets paid. I just never transferred it over. It's just that's the one thing she pays for me is my Easy Pass.
You see, because you're a child. And you're not a child. I already told you this. You're an old person, just like me.
All right, cable TV, man. Johnny, let's talk about the rarest video games, the video game podcast. We're going to be talking about the coolest stuff, the stuff that all the blogs say is the coolest stuff.
I'm sorry, the what?
The blogs. You have to talk about blogs. If you search on Google for the rarest video games, these are the types of games that comes up. These are the things that have the mind share of I don't even think game collectors, of people writing about game collecting.
Hold on, Tyler, you've gone too far.
Okay.
You always say that we don't explain everything enough to our audience. And I would like to just explain to people what a blog is. Oh. So before YouTube and moving pictures, people would write their words down when they weren't accredited journalists, and they would get like a site, usually from like Google or some place that hosted, and you could write your words down, and then people could go to a web link to check those out.
On the World Wide.
Yeah, on the World Wide Web. And now we just do that in YouTube videos and people just talk. It's gotten even easier and more useless.
Well, Johnny, we're taking a look at all of those quote-unquote rarest games, and we're rating them 1 to 10.
Oh, yeah. Show me this hot goodness.
how accurately rated they are by the general game collecting community and or popular blog posts. Like, let's say like Racket Boy. I know Racket Boy does a much better job than most places, but he's going to still have Sculptor's Cut as the number one N64 game. And we're going to rate how cool Sculptor's Cut is and how correctly rated as a top tier collectible it is.
Okay. That sounds fun to me. I think I can get behind that. Also, just not to like rip on, like Racket Boy, a lot of this stuff, here's the problem with like internet data. It doesn't, like a blog doesn't get updated, so people just come and see it. Doesn't matter if it's 10 years old. Doesn't matter if the world has moved on. Doesn't matter if new data has been presented. If that was the site, that was the thing, then that is just the information that gets regurgitated forever. And that's why some things that were considered top tier rarities still get talked about as such, even though the world has moved on. And some have more recently entered the mindshare through gross sales and YouTube videos and controversy. So, they get into our mindshare for a reason. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
And so that's true. Like the sort of more big public sales of the sealed stuff has definitely added a lot more of these like really weird games into these blog posts that you would never think about just because like some B-lister sold for like $20,000. Now people are like, oh, Wrecking Crew. Wow, Wrecking Crew Sealed is really one of the top tier games that those game collectors are going after. And I specifically say Wrecking Crew because the first result for rarest video games is this entertainment.ie article, and the number 6 rarest video game is Wrecking Crew. And their little thing that was probably generated by AI says Wrecking Crew was bundled with the NES on its release.
Oh, good. Not even Wrecking Crew 98, just Wrecking Crew, huh?
No one knows what Wrecking Crew 98 is.
I do. Come on. You got to know what this is. You got Wrecking Crew 98?
I want a Wrecking Crew 98. Don't tell people about Wrecking Crew 98. I need to go get
Why don't you have a Wrecking Crew 98? Japanese only? Come on, buddy. It's a Mario game?
Mario game? Yeah, I want it. I want it, Johnny. Wrecking Crew 98 is 10 out of 10.
Pick of the show. Pick of the show. Wrecking
and
Crew 98.
Super Famicom game, 1998. It's like a pretty late release. It is a cool game.
Yeah,
what? And why was it made? Who was asking for a new Wrecking Crew?
Me. And then what did Wrecking Crew became something else on the PlayStation? What did it become?
How could Wrecking Crew become something on the PlayStation?
Didn't it become like, or didn't they borrow from Wrecking Crew and make a series on PlayStation? My like crazy.
You can make up any game from PlayStation, and I'd be like, sure, that sounds like a thing because there's so many PlayStation games.
And now I have to like try and remember what that was.
Johnny, our first game, top tier rarity, Gamma Attack for the Atari 2600, the poster boy rarest video game because by default it's a one of one, and I think it has some true-ish claim here because yes, you could go make a homebrew NES game and make one copy of it, and you have made the rarest video game of all time. But because this is kind of sort of the first console game, at least, that has this claim of being like a one-of-one game, I think it's more than your stupid homebrew that you're doing as like a publicity stunt.
Oh yeah? What is it?
So how do you feel about Gamma? Oh yeah, so Gamma Attack, it's a 2D space shooter, like a side-scrolling thing. It's almost similar to Laser Blast, but I think I might just be saying that because it's a side-scrolling
for
space shooter.
What system?
Atari 2600.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, what is this?
Johnny, it's Gamma Attack for the Atari 2600.
I'm sorry, who?
The guy who owns this had this on eBay for a while for $500,000. Unsurprisingly, no one bought it.
Oh.
Which is crazy. I mean, it's the rarest video game of all time.
I mean, it's weird if it was the most foundationally collectible system.
Oh my God. We're not going to argue about Atari on every episode.
I mean, who's arguing? I'm agreeing with you.
Johnny, how do you feel about Gamma Attack?
I don't have any feelings about Gamma Attack. Exactly zero feelings about Gamma Attack.
I bring this game up like sometimes, like not. It's like it's the example, quote unquote, rarest video game. I mean, I think it has something going for it.
Okay. I'm not trying to be dismissive.
So whenever someone says
am.
like, "Whoa, Mahjong on the NES is like the rarest video game," this is always the game you could point to.
But that's
and be
a
like, "No,
Nintendo
fuck
game.
you, Gamma Attack."
Oh, fuck you, Gamma Attack. Some unlicensed one guy made it. Who cares?
There's no Atari licensing.
Yeah, look, that's what I'm saying. But who cares? It's like, oh, I made this Atari game. It's like, well, was it ever sold? No, but I made it. Woo, you can't stop me. I've made this game and now it's the rarest. Get out of here.
I mean, see, that's the thing against Gamma Attack. I don't think there's any proof that it was actually sold anywhere. I think it is complete in box. I don't remember that though. I don't. They made repros of it, so I don't know if the box is a repro. But I'm going 4 out of 10, Johnny.
No.
I think it is suspect that there is only one of them. As much as I enjoy the example that it is the quote unquote rarest video game of all time, the fact that there's only one makes it less interesting in that it kind of falls into a different category than retail video games at that point, which it's not really at the top of the retail video game category. It's more just a piece of one-of-a-kind video game artifacts.
Well, I have a new one-of-one art that I just created for Super Mario Brothers. I've signed it. It's art. It's the rarest Mario art piece there is. I'm an artist. Maybe I'll auction it off only to Patreons. Sorry, guys.
Johnny, this is part of the set. This is part of the set of retail games of Atari 2600 games in the Atari's lifespan. It's the reason that you literally can never complete an Atari set.
Is it the reason? Is it the reason? Is anyone like, oh, shucks, I can't get that Gamma Attack. Now my Atari set will never be complete.
I think a lot of Atari collectors, they don't really go for a complete set. They just try to get as much as possible because they know like they'll never get the Gamma Attacks or even like Birthday Manias of the world. But I bet there is some force to Gamma Attack that keeps the prices of the ultra Atari rare stuff a little bit down because there's some amount of people like Mr. CIB that just won't go for the full Atari 2600 set because it's literally impossible. And so there's no reason to spend $100,000 on an air raid.
But what makes it a set? Like, you're just like, okay, well, that exists, so it's part of the set. Why? Why is it part of the set? Because it exists? Like, are we just... Because you could do that with all the Nintendo homebrew as well that exists.
Well, you would say like up until 1990, up until like the last
no, that's I'm still saying
Atari game.
all the homebrew, all the stuff that exists out there, all the pirated games, all the pixel swaps, all of that could count in the world of Gamma Attacks counting. Okay? This is why we fucking made rules when the Nintendo came out and we're like, okay, as collectors, fuck Atari, let's look at the Nintendo about how to do this. Because it's the most foundational system which we based our collecting on, not fucking Atari. Anyways, Tyler, like I said, in the world of Gamma Attacks, anything can count, and the world becomes a mystery.
That's not true. This was made for commercial sale. It's not a hobbyist
like,
project.
oh, I got this, like, I bought this one thing, this one of one, and it's like self-publicity at this point to try and make some money. Which is why it was on eBay for $500,000.
The guy, it wasn't being sold by the guy who made it. It was made by a company, Gamation, which was probably one guy, but...
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, lots of people are companies as well. Just one guy's. Go look at their filings in Nevada.
All right, Johnny. Give Gamma Attack a rating so we can move on, because no one wants to hear more about Gamma Attack. It's more of an example game than a real...
2 out of 10.
You could have the rarest video game of all time. You wouldn't feel anything.
Not for fucking Gamma Attack. You know what I would feel is, I would feel like, what is the market like for this, and how quickly can I sell it and make money? And I'm not a guy who typically sells things, Tyler, if you've maybe looked around my
Last
office lately.
price I heard for Gamma Attack was $500,000, so I think you could make some money.
I will trade you whatever Gamma Attack is gifted to me for a house. Sure, let's do that.
All right, Johnny, let's move on to the other... I mean, there's a bunch of Atari ones we can go into, but I'm just going to go to the other big one, which is Air Raid. And so Air Raid is interesting to a certain type of person. One, it is absolutely one of the rarest Atari games. The really interesting part is that there were only a few copies known, and for the longest time, it was only cart only. And I think about 10 years ago, some guy recognized a cartridge and like went into his attic and he pulled out like a complete in box copy that he owned. And then the world was like, what the fuck? Complete in box Air Raid. It's 2013. Video game collecting's the coolest. We still care about Atari. And then that guy went and sold that for over $30,000. In 2013 prices, like $30,000, that was an absolutely astronomical, ridiculous sale. That's like talking about money laundering, the millionaires ruining the hobby type stuff. Like that was maybe the biggest sale I'd ever seen of a video game ever at that point. And now, like, who even knows what Air Raid is?
Yeah.
Just 10 years later, it was like the biggest sale ever. And now, like, who knows what Air Raid even is?
So here's my question to you, because I want you to rank it. I want you to give me a rating on Air Raid, but I want to tell me what you think Air Raid would sell for right now. In this post-apocalyptic video game wasteland we live in now.
I for the complete one, I don't know how many complete. I think there might have been another box that came up or something, but yeah,
for a complete one,
I bet $20,000-$30,000 probably, just because that one sale anchored it. I think so. There was a Video Life that sold on Heritage. I'm sorry, we're getting into Atari stuff, but Video Life is a very rare Atari game. It's like that R10 type stuff, and it went for $12,000. It was sealed, but like there's some Atari collectors out there that have like 5 figures to spend on stupid Atari stuff that no one cares about. And Air Raid does have cachet behind it, so yeah, $20,000-$30,000. I bet it would sell for that, and the cartridges still go for like $10,000, I think.
Okay. So what's your ranking?
4 out of 10. It's
4 out of 10.
It's still
okay.
Air Raid. I don't know, man.
All right.
I feel like it would be cool to get clout in like, man, the boomer community, but it feels more real than Gamma Attack because there's like a dozen of them out there, and maybe even more.
So my beard is white, Tyler, and I am old. And Air Raid doesn't speak to me at all. So we got to get people older than me. So here's what you need to know about Air Raid. Every day, the people who are interested in Air Raid are dying. They're dying. So they're dying faster than people are becoming interested in Air Raid. So we're trending down here on Air Raid.
I really like the Atari rarities, and I'm talking Red Sea Crossing, Birthday Mania, Extraterrestrials. These are all games that have very, very few copies known. Like, forget the NES and Super Nintendo rare. These are like not even in the same universe. I couldn't like really pick one that would be like so cool for me to own that like I would ever spend, like thousands of dollars in an Atari game. Because it's just that cool. Like, I think collectively, like any single one of them is kind of amazing. And they're like, oh, wow, you did it. You're a super collector. But looking at any of them individually, I just don't think they're that cool individually.
I think my favorite is Birthday Mania of all of those. Your name. You get a name.
Yeah, you got your name programmed onto the cartridge in that. So
which is awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, birthday. Like if I had to pick one of those, it would be Birthday Mania. But I think Air Raid is probably the most well known, especially because it became there was a hot spot for it because of the sale.
Sure.
If people talked about it on Nintendo Age,
or the biggest video game forum, Johnny, Atari Age.
No, Facebook.
What's Nintendo Age? I don't even know what Nintendo Age. Who knows what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna let you keep getting away with saying Atari Age is the biggest fucking video game.
Facebook is not a forum; it's a platform.
Okay. Actually, technically. Thanks, Tyler. That was great. Then, by the way, that's your 2 voices.
All right,
I promised.
Thank you, Johnny, for the voices. Let's get on to games people care about. Let's go with just
Tyler.
The biggest game.
Go
Nintendo World Championships, Johnny. Have you heard of this? Nintendo World Championships 1990.
Speaking my language, finally. Yeah. Love Nintendo World Championships. You know this. I think these are... I do. I think they are very cool.
I made a YouTube video dissing Nintendo World Championships a little bit.
I think they are super cool. And I think things like stadium events are fucking boring. Nintendo World Championships, super cool.
So Nintendo World Championships, I mean, everyone already knows this, but Nintendo held a gaming competition in 1990 where a bunch of stupid kids lined up and showed off their Nintendo skills in Mario, Tetris, and Rad Racer. And the gray cartridges were the ones used in the competition, and they got stolen by the event staff and given to a lot of the finalists. It's pretty cool. I'm going to say it's pretty cool, Johnny.
Super cool. Now, you and I disagree on which is cooler, though.
I don't even know. I think I might go back to them being equally cool.
Okay. I think the gold is cooler. And for everybody who wants to say, like, Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, the competition cart, and Star Fox Weekend are part of the set, then please adjust your Nintendo set list to include Nintendo World Championship Gold.
I think that is 100% true. And no, I don't think that puts Star Fox Super Weekend and Donkey Kong Competition on the set, because those were sold used from Nintendo Power, because you just got like the cartridge of Star Fox. But Nintendo World Championships Gold was a purpose-made brand new thing that was never used in the competition. So that is a new video game that you got from Nintendo. Part of the set.
Do we have proof that there was no new ones sold, like that they were all used? Because they could have been unused.
All right, I don't know. Maybe I don't know why I've said that so many times. All right, maybe Donkey Kong Competition and Star Fox will put in the Super Nintendo set. I have to do some more research. It might have been based on the little blurb in the magazine that you bought them from.
I think so. But that doesn't mean that they were all used. And you would never be able to tell the difference at this point.
Yeah, I know. It probably, maybe it said like these were the cartridges used in the competition, and I assumed that meant they were used. Why? Yeah. Like, why did Donkey Kong come in the stupid Blockbuster case?
I don't know,
man.
I don't know.
We'll talk about those.
Anyways, I think these are super cool. I think the gold one is cooler, but like I put the Nintendo World Championship Gold as a 10, and I got the gray as a 9.
10.
A 10.
All right. I probably got the gray at like a 6, 7. It's cool. 7. I mean, it's it's a purpose-made collectible in that like it's got like the serial numbers on it. There's like mystery in how much there are. I think it's pretty clear there were probably 350-ish made, because that's where the serial numbers seem to stop. It's like this thing that like every time a new one is found, it's like, everyone gets up in a frenzy and people start trying to buy it because they're like, there's enough of them. There's few enough of them that people don't have it, and it's rare and it's exciting, but there's enough of them that they just keep coming out in the wild. Like every year, like another 1 or 2 is found, and it becomes like this little event. I think it's kind of cool.
And it's not one of these things that have been lost, right? Like, it's not like some of these games that we're going to talk about where people are like, oh, did people care about that once? People still care about both of these, and the prices are still going up. So people are still buying them at high prices. So they have not cooled. They've gone up. Like, we have the gray. We said like roughly $60,000 people are paying for that. Could be more. I know of sales that have been more. Golds for $500,000. So, these are still top tier items. That's why I got them so high.
There hasn't been a public gold sale. I think there might have been a private gold sale in the hundreds of thousands of dollars recently, but it's a private sale. So how much can we confirm?
No, we can't. But we could change that number 500 to 100,000. These are still astronomical numbers we're talking about, and still prices that again, people. It's not like they come up. There was a brief period, remember, where the grays were up and people were asking too much money for them, and they sat on eBay for a little while. That phenomenon has stopped. Now they just go, or they are all in private, or people are just holding them.
I mean, I think the opposite, I think. So I used to think, 15 years ago, because 15 years ago, I'm new to collecting, and everyone tells you Nintendo World Championships is the best thing.
Yeah.
It's the coolest Nintendo cartridge. There are 10. Go get Nintendo World Championships, or you're not a collector. And back then, when you sold stuff on eBay, but a lot of stuff was just private forum deals, just all the time. There was the cool people, high-end collectors, and they traded the good stuff between themselves. And I didn't see Nintendo World Championships ever hit eBay. And so it was like a really mysterious thing because not only was it this rare video game that no one has, but it's like, how do you even get one? You have to like make interpersonal relationships to like track one down to even find one for sale. And in the modern world of like high-end graded stuff, it's just like, oh, I won a Nintendo World Championships Gold. Okay, there's going to be a couple on Heritage every single year. There's a little bit less mystique now. It's become more commoditized, I guess. I don't know. I definitely thought it was a lot more mysterious when I first started collecting. It could just be because I had a lot less money too.
But there was like a period, and I want to say it was like maybe 2017, 2018, where they were just on eBay. Like there was a couple that just weren't selling at all.
I mean, like, maybe. I loved 2018. 2018 was like a real plateau year, and I thought that the video game collecting craze was finally over, and I could just like coast to victory. And like maybe prices would start coming down. And that turned out to be very wrong. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were sitting around in 2018.
So yeah, that's also my favorite thing is people think we're like in love with these prices. We also still have the dream of maybe one day video games will be less expensive and we can buy more of them. We're just a little more pragmatic about that.
I want more video games, Johnny.
Yeah, me too. We just talked about how I just want to, like we both want Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew 98 for the Super Famicom. Guys, it's a Mario game and no one has it. How cool would it be to have a Mario game that no one has? I mean, people in Japan have it, but you don't know anyone who has a Wrecking Crew 98. Like maybe Red the Game Shark has one, but you don't.
So, here's what I did when I was thinking about PlayStation. For some reason I was thinking of Buster Bros, right? Which is not the same as Wrecking Crew, but there's also a Wrecking Crew, which is like a car game or something on the PlayStation. By the way, just want to clarify what that was. There is a Wrecking Crew game, but it is not Wrecking Crew, not attached to the franchise at all. It's its own separate thing on PlayStation 1.
Okay.
All right.
Who cares?
Clarifying. Well, since we brought it back up,
I know.
I would. Anyways, let's move down. Let's move down to.
I don't think I
really
rated the
cool
gold,
one.
Johnny. I'm gonna give gold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Should I give it a 9 out of 10? It feels disingenuous as someone who bashes Nintendo World Championships. But so I think I've come around because I realized while trying to make quote unquote objective set list, which is an impossible thing, stop trying. I think Nintendo World Championships Gold is part of the Nintendo set because it was distributed by Nintendo. So I'm going 9 out of 10. And it's impossibly rare, and like who has one besides the one person we know who has one?
I think we might know two.
Maybe two. Yeah, but it's part of the set. All you people who see that this is the thing with Nintendo World Championships Gold. It makes me think that Stadium Events is trash. Not in comparison at all, because Stadium Events, the one thing it has going for it is it's the quote unquote like linchpin of the Nintendo set, but it's not. Nintendo World Championships Gold is the linchpin. You guys, you bought the wrong linchpin.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey.
It's taken, how long you been on the show? 8 years, but you finally got here. You're finally agreeing with me on this.
There's these are a lot of the I have long conversations with Joe, real Joe, not Trucker Joe, although it is Trucker Joe. He like will bring up a thing like, yeah, like NWC Gold is 100% part of the set, and he'll convince me, and then it's like, oh no, my entire like worldview on how to build sets has shifted now, and like everything is wrong, and Stadium Events sucks now.
You're going to have to explain what the hell Joe is telling you that I haven't told you that changes your mind.
Joe thinks about lists way, but you, I don't know.
Oh,
maybe Joe's willing to change his mind and you're not willing to change your mind. So I just assume all your opinions are invalid because you just made them up.
You think I'm not willing to change my mind?
Yeah,
I change my mind all the time. I'm so willing to change my mind.
All right, let me talk. So let me give you some proof that Atari is the foundation of video game collecting.
Sure.
Because it's where everything started, where people going crazy about rarities and variants. We're going to go back onto Usenet, whatever Usenet. I don't remember what Usenet group it's on, but I've done a lot of looking into old Atari Usenet posts. It's crazy. Like
Tyler, here. You don't need to do this. Let me show you the fact that I've changed my opinion. How many different systems and Japanese stuff do I look at now? Okay.
You do collect a lot more Japanese and computer stuff now.
Oh,
I'm
who
influential. I'm an
who could have
influencer.
convinced me that some of these things were more important? I wonder. Was it you?
Me into Japanese
Was it-
games and computer games? No.
You don't say.
I'm a Nintendo guy. I collect NES games.
Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about the big daddy in the room. Let's talk about a matte sticker Mario. Not necessarily sealed, but just a matte sticker Mario. Because that became the thing, right, for Nintendo collectors in the post 2019 or post 2020 world, or 2020 and post, I should say. I'm not sure how to get that right exactly at this moment.
I almost didn't want to put this on the list because I feel like it's almost too new, because 5 years ago, like, you had your core people who cared about like black box variants and sticker seal games. But like, really, in the general zeitgeist, no one cared about this. It was like $1,000 for a nice one. And like, it would go to like, you know, the crew of your Bravehearts in the world who actually care about this kind of stuff. And like, now it's like $5,000 to $25,000 for a nice one is hard to price, because the prices are all over the place the past couple of years. No one knows what they want to do with anything. But now that, so I love you. You said this once and it's always stuck with me. People need permission to collect something. Like, when Mario was $30, no one wanted it. But now that Mario's $200, it's like, oh, it's cool to own Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
So this is one of those things where people got permission. It's like, oh, not only is it an expensive copy of Super Mario Brothers, but like, oh, it's the most important game of all time. And oh, there's this super rare, quote unquote, test market release that has a sticker seal instead of a shrink wrap seal. And you could tell from the box. I'm going 9 out of 10, Johnny. I think
9 out of 10. I
wouldn't have cared about this 5 years ago, and now I think it's like almost the best thing you can own in video game collecting. I think there's something nagging at me that it's a US release. I know the game collectors are a xenophobic, America-focused bunch. So I do like the Famicom version just a little bit more. But I recognize that this is genuinely kind of rare and is super iconic and is obviously really important. So yeah, I'm going 9 out of 10. I think this is legit. I think it's got more legs than anything else on our list. I think people will probably always care about it at this point, even though it is by far the newest thing on our list. I think this will outlive Nintendo World Championships as a thing people care about. I think Nintendo World Championships, 50 years from now, Nintendo World Championships is a curiosity. I think Super Mario Brothers is still a thing, if video game collecting is a thing at all in 50 years.
I mean, Mario just made a movie not so long ago, and it just did very well. So, yeah, I can buy this argument. And I will say these grades that we're giving things are great in the current time. A lot of these grades, I believe, as time goes on, will recede. Like, I believe what you're saying about like the Nintendo World Championships. I'm saying a 9 and 10 now, but I think in 10 years they could be like 7s and 6s. You know, I believe that's true.
Are you telling me in 50 years that Air Raid might not still be a 4 out of 10?
And Air Raid will be lucky if it's a 4 next week. Anyways, yeah, I got this. I probably have a 9 too. I think you're right. It's just the thing, right? It's Mario. And it's like what I always said, like, you know, people will care about the thing that represents what Nintendo is, and that is Mario. One day people will identify the thing that is their nostalgia, their childhood, and they will put it on a pedestal, and that thing won't be stadium events. It'll be Mario. And they did. Yeah, right in the worst possible way. But yeah, I think a 9 is fine. I wasn't sure if I wanted like an 8.5, but yeah, I think 9 is probably right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like Mario, like the games I always bring up, the Marios, the Zeldas, the Metroids, like the foundations of the big Nintendo franchises. I think the first print Zelda is also super cool. It's not quite as rare as the matte Mario. And oh man, I'm going to have to say it, Johnny. It is a port of the Famicom Disk System version, which does have both. It's a different medium and it has different features like the microphone. It is a port as much as it isn't really a port, but Super Mario Brothers on Famicom and NES is the exact same thing. So it makes me feel less weird about it being the American release. Like maybe the first Prince Zelda, the American Zelda, I'd put it like an 8 out of 10, even though it's not on the list.
No, all right.
Let's
talk about one. How much you said this goes for like $5,000 to $25,000.
Yeah,
and then if you get into a sealed one, then you're on Heritage Auctions. You can.
There is no sealed one, or there might be one sealed one actually. I don't. This is rumors and stuff. I don't know. I'm not deep enough in.
Anyways, let's go to one that I've never thought of.
Wait, hold on, Johnny. I have to say one thing about these $5,000 to $25,000 ones. I just have to always bring this up. So the matte sticker box is like the second rarest component of a matte sticker Mario. The manual that has the misprinted zip code on the back. It says it's a PO box with 4 digits instead of 3 digits. Is so much rarer than the stupid box because every single graded copy you'll see doesn't have the misprint manual. So people go all the way back to this and they're like, oh, it's the first print, and they don't get the first print manual with it. That's, you know what? I'll call that fine. That's fine. I understand, like, not every copy is going to have the misprint manual in it. The thing that drives me nuts is that they don't grade it with the freaking Rob poster. So it comes with a Rob poster. It's like, we just talked about this, I know, but what does the poster say, Johnny?
No idea. Now you're playing with power.
The Nintendo game plan, Johnny. It's got a poster with Rob on the bottom. It says the Nintendo game plan, and in the bottom right of that poster, there's a copyright date, and it says 1985, and that came with all of the matte sticker black box games have that 1985 poster. Not the rarest thing in the world. I see they're like $50 to $100. They don't come up all the time. You can sometimes find a cheap one that someone mislisted because there were like 17 games, maybe more. I don't know. 17 games that came with this. Just get one. If you're selling a game for $5,000 for $25,000, it doesn't include this poster that you could get for $75. What are you doing? All right, now we can move on to the next game.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess our next game after all of that is Stadium Events, huh?
Oh,
how about that Stadium Events? Yeah, super rare. Everyone loves the Stadium Events. Does Stadium Events have any variants that someone could buy for cheaper? I'm just curious.
I mean, there are a couple variants. There's the centered end label versus the offset end label, and there's a 5-screw versus
like
a 3-screw.
Athletic World Fitness, or what was that game?
Oh, that one. Okay, I thought you were actually genuinely asking me.
No. I just
yes, you're talking about World Class Track Meet / Super Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt.
Oh yeah. Oh, so there's a lot of ways to get this. Huh. Anyways, yeah, don't even need it for the set.
I kind of agree. So
I don't know if I actually believe that. I just like to throw that out there.
So here's the problem with not needing Stadium Events for the set. World Class Track Meet doesn't have a standalone release, which, you know what? That's maybe not necessary because the same deal with Virtua Fighter on the Sega Saturn. That was only a pack-in, and most people still count that for the set.
Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah! World Class Track Meet count. Never mind. See, this is why I need to have these conversations. Like, yeah, there's no problem with World Class Track Meet. It totally 100% counts.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
But Stadium Events is the original release, and it is the one that's going to be on the set list. So you're going to have to get the World Class Track Meet, but you're going to be checking off Stadium Events on your set list because it's just a variant.
I mean, if you want the like the originals, then that's what you want to go with.
Well, if you want the original one, you have to get Family Trainer Running Stadium or something on the Famicom.
Oh, cool. So we can skip this all together.
Johnny, what do you think about iconic rarity and linchpin of the loose Nintendo set? Because most people aren't getting complete and box Nintendo sets. Stadium Events.
6.
6? You think it's a 6?
Yeah.
I'm going 5.
Ooh, you're lower than me.
How am I lower? I like Stadium Events more than you do. What are you talking about?
I just look, it's still expensive, and like Nintendo collectors are still a thing, right? So like I'm trying to take them into account. like it's just a thing that people need to buy. Do I think it's going to stay there? No. Once upon a time, people would have told you this was 10 out of 10, the best thing you could buy. So I'm all the way down to a 6 and still with a down arrow.
All right. Yeah. So I definitely agree. Stadium events is the definition of just a thing you need to buy. And I think World Class Track Meet is a totally valid alternative to owning stadium events. There's two things it does have going for it, I think. So there's people always get caught up in like, what counts for a set? What is a video game?
Who gets caught up in this stuff, Tyler?
Yeah, I know. The people we talk to.
We might have whole episodes based on it.
I don't think stadium events, quote unquote, I mean, it does count. It's World Class Track Meet doesn't count. But the thing with stadium events, so it has a different name, a different publisher, and technically different code because it has a different title screen. And most of the time when you're arguing for what counts for a set, each of those individually almost never counts. But all three of them together is actually a really rare thing to happen. And I still think it doesn't count, but I do think it makes stadium events a little bit more unique than all these stupid little publisher and name change variants that you see all over the place.
Okay, so like what about Mario Duck Hunt?
I don't think any multi-pack counts at all.
But doesn't that have a different code, technically a different name?
But so, yeah, I'm just subjectively saying it's a multi-pack, though, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
So this is the problem. When you try to do, like, the objective thing, you're like, oh, this isn't a multi-pack of Mario Duck Hunt. This is a brand new video game called Super Mario Bros. /Duck Hunt and has different code and is a different thing. And it's like, no, what are you talking about?
So Donkey Kong Classic?
I think, so I haven't really made up my mind on that, but I would probably throw it out.
Okay, so what about
we've talked about this on the show. Yeah, I'm throwing out Donkey Kong Classic.
What about what is it? Williams, the Williams collection and like the Midway collection?
No, those count because that's not a compilation of games.
That's it's a compilation of a bunch of different games.
Yeah, but they weren't all released individually. It's not a compilation of games that were otherwise released all on that console.
So it has to have been released on that console. So Mario World or Super Mario World, or not Super Mario All-Star, that's fine?
Super Mario All-Stars is fine, yes.
Okay. And Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, fine?
That's totally fine.
Not a compilation, not a multi-card.
No.
Okay.
So you can pick better examples. There's that Metal Gear Solid box set, which has the PS1 game and 2 PS2 games. That's like, yeah. What do you do with that?
Yeah, I'm just asking the question.
I think, compilations. I think you should take them, you should collect them, and they should be put in their own separate part of the set list. There's not one set list. You have your list of games, and then you have your list of multi-packs, and they can go together. You can collect them both. They just don't need to be on one monstrous list.
So there's no other games like that, right? Well, there's the volleyball one. What else we got?
Why are you trying to get gotchas with me on these multi-pack? The Super Monkey Ball, the Player's Choice GameCube thing that sells for $5,000. Johnny, it doesn't count for anything. It's on a little separate list of multi-packs.
Well, those are different discs, and those have different cases individually. Those are just
and they're the exact same game.
It's just a bundle. It's a bundle. That's not a multi-card.
I see. This is the problem. So I used to try to segment this out into like, oh, does it matter if they're on the same disc? Oh, does it matter like how they're included in the packaging? And then collecting Xbox is where I was just like, fuck all of this. None of this matters. If you buy the retail thing off the shelf and somehow it includes multiple games, then I'm putting it in the multi-pack category. Because you start getting these things like the Tom Clancy trilogy. It's a regular DVD case that comes with like 3 discs jammed on a single spindle. It's just like, there's so many ways that these games are packaged. I don't want to think about like, oh, does it matter if they're on the same disc or not? No, it doesn't. Because like technically, if they're on the same disc, that's different code. But if they jam 3 of the games onto one spindle, each of those discs individually is the same game. I don't want to think about any of this. None of this matters. They're all multi-packs. Get them out of here.
Okay.
Including Exertainment. We'll talk about Mountain Bike Rally Speed Racer. Get it out of here.
I didn't bring it up on purpose.
All
right. Okay, so anyways, let's move on to something that's in the same category as some sports, right? Let's keep it sports oriented and things that people don't care about. James Buster Douglas boxing for the Sega Master System, Tyler. Is this the stunner it used to be? This was the game for a bit, for when people cared about U.S. Master System, and we should be very specific there, U.S. Master System. James Buster Douglas boxing was the game for a minute, and then it wasn't. And now I don't know what it is.
Johnny, when I started collecting, 2005, 2006, so N64 was not popular. People thought N64 was garbage. There was some interest in PlayStation. PlayStation, for the most part, was garbage. So if you think of it in that context, if you're making a cutoff at like 1995, there's only so many consoles to collect. So
yep.
And then games are like, if you're collecting cartridges, games are like $1. So when you're done collecting all the games you want for like the consoles you actually like Sega Genesis and NES, you're like, oh, what else is there to collect? And a bunch of people are like, all right, I guess I'll collect Sega Master System because I need more video games to collect. And now that we live 20 years in the future, that is not a problem. There are enough video games to collect that you will never be finished. But I think more people were interested in Sega Master System just because it was there in the 90s and 2000s. So
this is like Nintendo.
It's just like, you know what? The Master System was actually better than the NES. The developers just didn't get to take full advantage of it.
If you consider what Sega did in the whole world compared to just on the American shores, it's really a much better system than it's given credit for.
I actually like how the box arts are super consistent when they're consistently terrible.
Yeah. Oh, no, everyone loves grid lines, and never mind that some pictures are color and some are just line art, and some of them...
It's not consistent. Please stop that. And then none of the labeling. Some of the grids aren't as big. People want to make that bullshit argument. It's not. They're ugly. What an ugly... We should do the fun episode where we rate like box layouts and just dunk on Master System boxes because they're awful.
All right, we could put the Sega Classics that are the blue box and then that shows the real box at an angle right under it.
Oh,
love those.
Oof. So ugly. Yeah, we should do that where we just like break down classic boxes for systems and just how terrible they are. Anyways, how you feeling about Buster Douglas?
If I gave an air raid a 4 out of 10, Johnny, I think this might be a 2 out of 10.
Ooh, see, I'm gonna put it as a 4. I'm gonna keep it at a 4.
The last James Buster Douglas knockout boxing on eBay that sold was less than a month ago. It was an 8.5 CIB. That's really near mint if you don't know the WADA stuff. That's a really nice copy, and it sold for $830, which I feel like is even down in just the past couple of years.
Well, let me tell you about the one that sold in September for $1,400, not graded.
Yeah,
I think that's a case of wrong
there's
market.
There's probably a bunch of people who saw it and they're like, I don't want that WADA shit. Like, there's Sega Master System complete in box collectors. Like, who's grading this shit?
Yeah, this is the wrong market for that. So, like, if you look back for 2023, there's one that sold for almost $1,500 and one that sold for nearly $1,400.
I looked this game up because we have literally this exact conversation that we're having right now. Like, occasionally, and it always seems like it's on the bubble of being like just rare enough. Like, you'll see these copies, there'll be like a copy with like a completely faded front, and it's like, all right, no one's gonna buy that. It'll be like a copy without a manual, and it's like, all right, no one's gonna buy that. It's just like a thing that's sitting there that makes it look more common than it really is. And then like every time I look at it, there's like 2 complete in box copies that I would buy on eBay. And that's like just enough for me to feel like, okay, it'll always be there if I ever decide I really want it. And even looking right now, there's 4 complete in box copies on eBay. It's like just not rare enough to be interesting. I mean, for Sega Master System, if it's a console that you're only collecting because it's there, like it needs to be rarer for it to be interesting to me. And I think Sega Master, it has its it's not in the same level of rarity. It has this interesting game, and it's UPC Sonic, Johnny.
No, it is not. Get out of here.
Yes.
That is not interesting. It's not interesting.
It's interesting.
What is interesting about it? Tell me. Tell me what is interesting about that fucking game.
It has the character
a barcode
Sonic the Hedgehog
that was put on a barcode that was put on a fucking dock is interesting.
Yes.
A
This
fucking
is what we
barcode
were video game collectors. This is what we do. We look at stupid minutia on mass-produced products and get excited for it. What do you think stamp collectors do? Stamp collectors literally sit there with little jeweler's loops, and they're identifying ink colors on pigments of 150-year-old stamps. We're doing the same thing. It's just mass-produced garbage.
No, this is fucking post-production bullshit. This is added on after the fact. That's like saying the most interesting version of fucking Mighty Max is the one that was put in with a fucking VHS tape at some wholesaler who had a bundle of them and was like, I have to do something with these. I got this pack of VHS tapes and a pack of Mighty Max that's not selling, so I'm smashing them together.
What are Mark Jewelers comics, Johnny?
I'm not doing this.
What that wasn't. So I don't even know what Mark Jewelers are. I just hear the Comic Tom talk about them all the time. But it's some variant that was exclusive to whatever Mark Jeweler. I don't know what Mark Jewelers is, but it has some exclusive insert for one like retailer or something, and people love them because they're rare. And you know what the UPC on Sonic is? It's a little bit rare. It's not like the rare, but it's a little bit rare.
It's a little bit rare. And at least it's a Sonic game.
It's not even like the real Sonic. It's the Game Gear Sonic game, which is like fine, but like it's not
even
Sonic.
the original. It's not like this is post actual Sonic coming out too. So this doesn't count. Nothing. It's a nothing thing.
But it has Sonic. It's the same thing as Wrecking Crew 98. It's like, well, it's got Mario, so it's something.
Yeah, but you could just go buy the version on Genesis and get a better game for $9.
I'm not saying Sonic's a 9 out of 10 here. I'm just saying Sonic's better than Buster Douglas.
At least Buster Douglas is on a system by itself, and it's not like you can go buy a Genesis copy CIB right now for $14. Definitely shipped for $14 on eBay. Right? Oh shit, you can. You totally can do
Johnny,
that.
Those are totally different games. Come on. There's no way that those games are similar in any way.
Hey, look.
Besides having the same box art.
If you were trying to get the Guinness Book of World's Record for it, they would only count one of them because they have the same name.
Guinness are a bunch of people who blow smoke up dictators' asses, so maybe we shouldn't consider their records.
Oh no, I think they fucking are garbage and they don't know anything, and they're there to sell. They're there to sell books. And this is just a thing what a great system. People come and prove that they can do a thing, and then they pay them to come and see them. It's like, oh, you want to put your stuff in our book and you want to pay us to do it? Oh yeah, I guess we could make a book where we allow people to do that. Cool. Anyways, yeah, fuck them. Tyler.
Hey.
Shall we move on to a game that really commands the interest of the people?
Hold on, Johnny. I'm sorry. I looked up Golden Axe Warrior and a copy sold for $4,000. Oh, it was sealed. Had the UPC, Johnny. You think is Golden Axe Warrior the top of the Sega Master System set?
No.
I think it's the top. Oh, it's so good.
Probably the best game.
It's
probably
so
the best
good.
game.
See, this is the problem with Master System. So you have the quote-unquote fake rarest game, which is Buster Douglas. Is there a rarer game than Buster Douglas? I feel like there has to be. Like there's got to be a Sega Master System game that doesn't have 4 copies on eBay.
Maybe Alf. Like people talk about,
or like
Alf
the Power Strike. Maybe?
I mean, there's also like the Blue Label games and stuff. Like there's variants and things like this. What's the other one? The mail away Power.
Yeah, Power Strike.
Power Strike, yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking at Power Strike Master System. If there's fewer than 4 copies, I'm gonna be mad at public opinion. And like I know that like Power Strike is not like crazy rare either.
No,
there's a bunch of Power. Oh wow, there's like 20. All right, Master System's a garbage console to collect. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I was gonna say you got the rare game, which is with Buster Douglas, quote unquote rare. You got Sonic with the UPC, which has Sonic, and it's something. And then you have Golden Axe Warrior, which is an amazing exclusive and it's just like a little bit uncommon. It has the UPC, but it's like one of the easier games to find with the UPC. I wish there was something that had it all, Johnny. I think Golden Axe Warrior is like kind of the closest game on Master System to having it all.
And it's got a map, right? I'm not wrong on that.
I don't know. Maybe
It came with a map.
Who opens it up?
Maybe.
You can see the UPC on the box. You don't need to open it up.
True. Maybe I'm wrong about the map. But man, Golden Axe Warrior is a good game.
Yes, so
Maybe I have a map for it that was hand-drawn. I'm trying to remember why I think there's a map for it. Anyways, doesn't matter.
really just need
Golden
an
Axe-
excuse to bring up Golden Axe Warrior. If you like Zelda,
so-
like Link's Awakening, go play Golden Axe Warrior. It's the same game, and it's just as good.
It's got a map in the manual. That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And Golden Axe Warrior is great. Like, seriously. Golden Axe Warrior is a good game. This is a good game. This is a game that, like, they like, what did they just, like, tout out? Where they put, like, Golden Axe 4 out on something, or Golden Axe 3 on, like, Golden Axe Warrior should be the game getting the publicity.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I think Golden Axe is trash, and I think Zelda clones are trash. Like, I'm not going to tell you, like, go play Newtopia 2. I'm not like one of these people like, oh, it's a little bit like Zelda. Oh, Beyond Oasis. Like, no, fuck those people. This is legitimately as good as Zelda.
Crusader of Senti!
Yeah, no, dude, there's like these Landstalker.
Yeah.
Get out of here with all these
Get
like
out of here with
fake
your
action adventure
Landstalker.
games that are nowhere near as good as Zelda. Golden Axe Warrior is actually as good as Zelda.
That's a good game.
All right.
Okay, we done?
We're done talking about the Sega Master System forever. That's all anyone needs to know is Buster Douglas, Sonic, and Golden Axe Warrior. And I'm sorry, I know we have listeners in like Brazil, and you guys had like you actually bought Sega Master Systems and have 3 times as many games. And I'm sure they're super cool and way rarer, and we know nothing about them at all. All I know is like you had like really late versions of like Mortal Kombat arcade ports. Like you can get like Mortal Kombat 3 on Master System or something.
It's true.
That's all I know.
All right. So what are we moving on to next? Is it a magical game of magical value?
Wow, what a transition, Johnny.
So I'm really stretching here.
Magical Chase for the TurboGrafx 16, the holy grail of a console that no one bought and only weirdos collect.
Hey, Magical Chase is a good game too. It's a fun game. It's kind of short, but it's fun.
Never played it.
You
It
can get a
looks
big
like
box
all the
PC.
shoot 'em ups ever, but
Do you want to get a big box PC version of it? I don't know if it's a big box, but there's a PC version of it. That make
an
it cooler
American
for
PC
you?
version of it?
I don't know if it's American.
Okay.
Maybe. But yeah, there's a PC version of it. Hey, GBA or GBC,
Yeah, I think
Game Boy
it's a
Color
GBC
version
game.
of it?
Someone, I bet someone, when we start, we're doing the Game Boy Color episode, and I'm going to trash Game Boy Color. Then someone's going to bring up, like, oh, it has a version of Magical Chase in Japan. To be clear, I'm going to play, like, every Game Boy Color game. I'm not going to play every Japanese Game Boy Color game when we finally get around to that episode, because I want to trash how bad all these games are. But,
Okay,
Johnny,
well,
TurboGrafx Magical Chase, how do you feel? This has always been, like
7.
This is the game where like you look at the people and like they're collecting their Buster Douglases and sculptor's cuts and you're like, oh yeah, well I have Magical Chase, a game that's actually rare.
I think 7.
What did I gave Stadium Events a 5. I don't think I can give Magical Chase more than the 5 then. I'm sorry I'm here to shit on rare games.
Yeah, no, like me, it might be like a 6.5, but like it's in that 6 to 7 range. I think Magical Chase still has cachet, and I don't feel like I look at Stadium Events like who the fuck cares. I think Magical Chase is a cool game and is actually an individual game. It's the game. It is actually the game, and not for any dumb reason. Like Stadium Events, that's just an imposter. Magical Chase is the thing for that system, though. That system being the TurboGrafx 16 does not hold a lot of cachet. Used to hold a lot more cachet with collectors as always like one of the expensive systems and only there's a certain group of people and it's hard to collect for, and all of that is still true. Magical Chase is still hard to get, and I think people still recognize it, but I'm an old man, Tyler, and maybe that's my old man speaking. This is as I talk through my white beard.
It's got some pretty nice recognizable box art and like a crazy bold font.
It's in the right category of game that people will always identify with.
The shooters, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's true. I think
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what people play these days. I feel like no, like there's a generation that is completely growing up in absence of 2D shooters. Because
There's a generation growing up in the complete absence of controllers, Tyler.
oh my god, it's so weird. But yes. So the thing with shooters is like if you just credit feed your way to the end of a shooter, it's not really fun. And the way people consume content in general, like people don't sit there and spend hours to be able to beat a 35-minute long game. That's just like not a thing at all anymore. Like there's like, of course, pockets of people who do stuff like that, but it's just not a thing anymore. And I think, no, it is not a genre that will exist forever. Well, I mean, it will exist, but not.
I mean, I just think it's collectible. There's people who are dedicated to just like shmups. And
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, it is a cool genre. It's an exclusive. I'm still going 5 out of 10. I'm putting it equal to Stadium Events just because, man, it's on the TurboGrafx 16 and who cares? And that is me bringing up the rating as like this game like TurboGrafx, who cares? Because it has like a cardboard box that's super fragile and weird and like even the people who have Magical Chase, there are some people who are like, God damn, but I don't have the box. So
yeah. Well, the box is hard to find and it didn't come in a jewel case. It came in one of the shitty plastic trays. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it's kind of cool for that. Yeah. I think it's like your old guy credentials. If you have a Magical Chase, it's like, oh man, this guy's been around.
Yeah.
No one had, because like who's spending $20,000? I guess like the TurboGrafx guys, like if this is their life dream to own a freaking Magical Chase.
I just think the TurboGrafx guys are already there. I don't see that many people like jumping into the turbo pool right now. They're like, let's get into this system. It's like, the people who are there are just there.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't even sustain its own forum.
PC Engine FX, is that down?
Yeah, fuck. I think it's been down for a few years.
Yeah. Man.
Also, fuck those guys. Shout out to you assholes.
Wait, no, now there's PCEngine-FX.com.
Oh.
They got a new... it looks pretty active. It's got tens of thousands of posts.
Okay, well, hey, still fuck you guys.
All right.
Fucking rude.
I try not to disparage groups of people on this show.
Oh, well...
Except for Redditors. I'm saying, fuck Redditors.
Oh, you finally come around. You finally joined
small
me.
hobby groups. No, I'm not going to diss PC Engine FX. It's probably the best place if you need some information about TurboGrafx stuff.
Yeah, you would think so until you walk in
like
there
a
and
million people
rude.
on one subreddit. I could disparage a million people. I'm fine doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I was collecting Turbo and I just like wanted some information and like offered to spend my money with them and they all fucking came and shit on me. I was like, all right, cool. You guys are great. Let me fuck right off then. I mean, I told this story on the podcast where they were like, we're all shitty to me. And then like 3 people still private messaged me about games I was asking for to sell them to me.
Yes.
Because they wanted those dollars. They're like, oh, you're a piece of shit and just a fake collector. Like, we love our games. And then they're like, hey, guy, I got that game. You want to pay a couple $100? I definitely like money more than this game. It's like, cool, thanks. Appreciate it.
It has been probably over 10 years since you had that experience. It could be a different group of people with a different mindset.
It's not been 10 years. It's probably only been 5.
All right.
5 or 6.
COVID was almost 5 years ago at this point.
Oh my God! Shut up! It was 4 years ago. Shut up! Don't speed up.
Time is starting to have no meaning.
It hasn't had meaning in ages. My son is a 5-year-old.
Oh my God!
I'm like, I looked at a file on my computer at work, and it was older than my son, and I was just like, huh. I should probably delete this. Just like, I guess this doesn't matter. I'm like, the people this was for don't even work here anymore. I guess I have permission to delete these. Anyways, that's just my work computer, Tyler. So it's like, oh, why is this still on my OneDrive? Ooh, cool.
What, you using that spyware, Johnny? What are you doing? You don't use sync thing? Get on that open source train.
This is at work, like what work tools I'm allowed to have. I don't get to choose.
All right. I don't even use Emacs at work. I'm not crazy. I got things to do.
Like, I can't have compatibility issues. Anyways, let's move on to a personal cherished item of mine, and let's dunk on it, shall we? Blockbuster World Championship 2. Hey, the video game World Championship cart for the Genesis, this has got to be like hot shit, right? Only like 10-ish, maybe 15, are even known to have ever existed, Tyler. This has got to be like the coolest thing ever, right? Because they actually destroyed the carts, right?
Johnny,
right,
is
Tyler?
this even notable enough to be on our quote-unquote rarest games list?
it is definitely rare enough.
Oh, it's definitely rare enough, yeah. But God, who cares? So the funny thing is, I was recently ready to toss this out of the video game collecting ethos and just flat out claim literally no one cares about this anymore. Until we went to Google and we looked at one of these blog post top 10 lists, and it had this listed in the top 10 rarest video games, and that blog post made by someone who knows nothing about video games is what saved this, and I'm going to keep talking about this game with you.
Yep.
But you know what, Johnny? I don't even know what games are on the Blockbuster World Championship 2 card, and I know a lot about video games.
Come on, Tyler. Come on.
I have no idea. What?
Oh, come on.
Some PGA Tour 2?
No, Tyler.
And tell me the games.
I'm never telling you the games. I am never telling you about NBA Jam or Judge Dredd. I'm never telling you. And to be specific,
Judge
it's
Dredd's
NBA
on there.
By the way, it's NBA Jam Tournament Edition because there are two different versions, but yeah. And Judge Dredd. Which Judge Dredd is such a weird choice, but it was because it was a claim.
It's just the two games? I've never played this at all, and I'm one of the 20 people in the world who still thinks about it occasionally.
Is there a third one on there? I think this is it. I'm pretty sure that's it. I have a real copy, but from back in the day, I had one of those ones that were made by somebody on Nintendo Age or Sega Age or something. And I had one of those. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll just have one of these as a placeholder because I'll never own this weird thing. Well, I do. And yeah. Do you want me to tell you what I'm going to rate it?
What are you going to rate it?
A 5.
So you're clearly overrating this thing that you have one of the only copies of on Earth, Johnny.
Oh, am I overrating it? You think it's lower than a 5?
I hate to... 3 seems really brutal when I gave Air Raid a 4. But
this has more cachet than Air Raid. Come on.
I think Atari matters more than Sega Genesis. I think Sega, in the very long term, I think Sega almost doesn't matter except as a foil to Nintendo. The concept of Sega just...
Well, as long as Nintendo matters, then Sega gets to matter, which cannot be said
only
of
the
Atari.
Genesis, though. Which, all right, it's the Genesis. I'm going to give it a 4. It's up there with Air Raid in 20 people on Earth care about this thing. And I feel I'm being generous. Johnny, I couldn't name the games on it.
I know, that's true.
That's bad. That's really bad.
This is also a counterpiece to Donkey Kong Country because that was part of the Blockbuster Championship on the Nintendo side. So these two are forever going to be entwined. So this is actually embedded with Nintendo history as well. So that saves it a little bit, right? Yeah,
that sure is a way to reach for that.
Uh-huh. I'm doing what I can.
You're doing a good job.
Oh, am I convincing you?
You definitely... It's Johnny, I associate Blockbuster World Championship with two things. One of those things is Johnny Iucci, man who owns one of these very, very few cartridges. And two, I remember a copy of this. If you went and searched for Sega Genesis, sort by highest price, some guy had it up for $20,000 bin. It must have been for at least 3 years. And he never lowered the price. He was just like, I'm going to get my $20,000 for Blockbuster World Championships 2 because I know that this is one of the games that everyone's going to care about forever. I wonder if he ever sold it. It's not on there now.
Nope. Yeah, so I've heard of it selling in the 5s and in the 10s, and I know that people have asked for more, and I don't know where the price on this rests now. You want to know what's cool, though? If you go to price charting, they have a picture of the repro as the game on there.
It's so rare they couldn't even find a picture.
No, and that's the thing. The picture is all over. It's just ugly as shit. It's just plain white text because this was not meant to be sold. This was just a thing that was getting destroyed. And there's so few of them that actually exist. Very cool.
I would bump my rating up to a 5 if it had serial numbers like Nintendo World Championships. But it doesn't, so sorry. If it was like serialized and you had like cartridge number 3, like how cool would that be? It would be like, yeah, I've got 3. Fuck you. What's your Nintendo World Championships? Oh, it's 310? Oh, wow. That's a high number.
That is a high number.
All right, Johnny.
So
let's go back into the world of real video games.
Yeah,
we're not even halfway through this list.
Oh my God. How long are we? Oh, okay, we're going. Well, it's going to get faster, right?
Amazing Tater.
Holy shit.
And Spud's Adventure, which always go hand in hand. I don't know why, because everyone knows Amazing Tater's better. They are the potato games. There's kind of so my perspective is very much influenced by when I was like growing up in the collecting landscape, which was 10, 15 years ago. And it was Amazing Tater, Spud's Adventure, and F1 Pole Position were always the top 3 Game Boy games. I think F1 Pole Position was usually number 1. And I always remember, I thought F1 Pole Position was so cool because that's one of those games where the European copy is I was collecting cartridges, not complete. The European copy is very common. So it was a game where it was the rarest thing, quote unquote. But if you did a save search long enough, you'd be able to find someone list an American one for $7. And I thought that was like that's like one of the things that got me addicted to game collecting, is finding games like that.
Pretty cool.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about potato games. Puzzle Boy 2.
What?
Is it the Puzzle Boy series?
I don't know.
It's the sequel to Quirk, Johnny, where you play as a tomato. In the sequel, you play as a potato.
I did not know that. That's got to be part of our secret sequels episode.
All right, sure. It's a lot more obvious in Japan, where it's Puzzle Boy and Puzzle Boy 2.
Yeah. Huh. I did not know that. I learned something today. Huh. That makes Quirk way cooler to me.
Oh, Quirk is like secretly actually awesome. Like you should own a copy of Quirk. It's not just a cool common game.
I think I do own a copy.
I mean, I'm sure you do. I don't.
Oh, you should. It's a quirky game. It's not just like some nothing game. It's actually a good game, Tyler. Did I do it right?
Did you? I don't know. I feel like I hype up games better than that. I'm gonna hype one at the end of this episode a lot when I get to what I've been playing.
Okay, so let's talk about how much is an Amazing Tater right now if you want to buy one. Just real quick. Want me to do this? I'll do it. All right, $8,500. The last one, like there's like one you can get for like $8,500 right now. Solds though range from $10,000 to $3,500 in the last 2 years. And I know take something as lame as the last 2 years with a large grain of salt, but this has been the price range. So $3,500 isn't like the most recent price. Like that was like a low, and then it like jumped up to like $8,000, and there was a $10,000 sale at the beginning of all that. So it's like this is like the weird price range for this game. It comes down to a lot to, I think, set collectors for that system. Like when they just run up against this game, that's like whatever. If someone has one available, they're just paying the price. So be cautious. Should you pay $8,000? I don't think you should. I don't think people are going to care about this. We'll give it our rating soon. Spud's Adventure. Someone's asking $2,500 for Spud's Adventure right now, or best offer, to be fair.
$2,500?
I'm sorry, 25,000. Sorry, 25,000. Sorry, 25,000. Or best offer. The most recent solds are like 2,500. So I don't know where they pulled this number out of. So yeah. Just be wary of these games, but also, unless you're collecting the GBA set or like you're really into Atlas, like who cares? Who cares? Tyler, what do you rate these who cares games?
Oh man, like I hate this because I think Game Boy is like one of the most important Nintendo platforms, and I think it's underrated. And this is one of those systems where like none of the top games excite me. Like even Magical Chase, like I don't care about TurboGrafx at all. But like Magical Chase, like, all right, there's something exciting about it. It's rare. It's an exciting game. You put Amazing Tater next to Magical Chase. It's like, okay, who cares about the Amazing Tater? You've got a Magical Chase. Ooh, what did I give a 2 to? Buster Douglas is probably cooler than Buster Douglas because Buster Douglas is Buster Douglas. So I'm going to go the 3, but it would be lower if I'd given Buster Douglas a 1. I'm going to go 3, Johnny. 3 on Amazing Tater. Don't care about Spud's Adventure because it's not the top thing, so whatever.
Well, yeah, and like I always thought these were connected just because they're Atlas and the potato games, but I guess they're not even connected. That's so weird.
The Amazing Tater's a puzzle game. Spud's Adventure is like an RPG.
Like an RPG. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, making an RPG is so much cooler. That makes this one way cooler for me. But yeah.
So the RPG is cooler. The thing about Spud's Adventure that drives me nuts is you already have a character that's as boring as a fucking potato, and then the box art is him turned around and you're looking at his back. Like, what?
Well, that's the Japanese one, right?
No, what do you mean Spud's Adventure? He's like looking at a castle or something, right?
Oh yeah. He is turned around.
Yeah,
the Japanese.
He's looking at his butt. The biggest thing on the fucking box art is his butt.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of his face, but on the Japanese box, he's fully turned around. It's him, an eggplant, and a carrot, and you can't see any face at all.
All right. This is why Spud's Adventure is not the top game. Just saying.
Okay.
Also, all right, I don't know. Maybe like they must have been linked in like the way people think about them. In terms of rarity, Spud's Adventure and Amazing Tater, just because of the potatoes, even if they aren't actually equally rare to each other. It's just, this is such a weird thing to have as a theme for a video game. We're going to link these two games inextricably forever.
And Atlas, right? So like,
and Atlas.
Yeah. That's, man. And I knew Amazing Tater had a sequel. Didn't realize it was Quark. I always thought it was Spud's Adventure. And Spud's Adventure does have like a tomato on it that looks like the Quark tomato. What the fuck is happening? But these aren't tied together at all?
I don't know what's going on with Atlas. I bet they have different developers too. Who knows?
Oh man. Now I feel like I need to research this after the episode. Anyways, yeah, I'm like at like a 3 or a 4 on these.
All right.
I think they're super cool. Like the problem is I think they're cool. I just wouldn't pay this price for them.
I think there are way less rare games that are like a kind of rare, like Kid Dracula. I would put above Amazing Tater in terms of how.
No, Kid Dracula is part of Castlevania, a series.
Like Castlevania Legends. Even I would put above Amazing Tater. Like I don't care.
It's a Castlevania game.
If it's a little bit more common than Amazing Tater, it's fucking Castlevania. Like what? This is where like the prices are wrong in the game collecting market, and it's because like we would put a game that's like a 10th the price and 8th the price above the top thing in the set, quote unquote.
Yeah, like if you want Amazing Tater, like if you were objectively coming from outside of video games and they're like, you just knew a little and you're like, okay, this game isn't tied to anything really. And this one is part of, a very famous franchise. Which one would you rather have? They're like, I think Kid Dracula, probably. Anyways, let's move on to some more trash. Shantae, Game Boy Color.
$2,500 we got as the price for complete in box Shantae these days.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I guess we're talking about the quote unquote rarest, but there's a lot of games in the thousands of dollars. And that was just
GBC
not a thing.
This is not the rarest Game Boy Color game.
Oh, not at all. It's just the one it's the only game anyone wants that doesn't say Pokemon on it.
Yep.
You tell me, is there another Game Boy Color game that I should be considering a top game?
Resident Evil.
No, not at all. All right, so it's Shantae. Got it.
As far as rarity or like things that people
anything,
want.
just top games could be anything.
Look, I'm just telling you about things that people will want from recognizable franchises. It's going to be your Pokemons, Zeldas, like this. Shantae though does get to live in this category because for some reason Shantae has become a series that not for some reason. I'm not like here to dunk on Shantae games. I'm not sure. Oh my god. I'm not here to like tell you Shantae is a shitty game. I'll leave that to you. But it's like a series that has continued forward. There was a way forward for this game. See what I'm doing here? Just got him. Anyways, it lives on. And whether that's limited run's fault or not, it's kind of here to stay. And, they've pushed this series hard. So.
But I mean, it got a big box Wii U release.
Yeah.
Was that in the limited run thing, or did it just do that on its own merits?
No, I think that was on its own merits.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a game that sticks out in the Wii U set. It's like, hey, here's Shantae. And I think it wasn't even a full price game, was it?
I don't think so.
I don't know. But either way, Shantae has done well for itself, definitely.
Yeah.
Somehow it's like a relatively obscure Game Boy Color game has lived on through sheer willpower.
Yeah, 100%. It's become a thing. If you told me that in 5 years, if amiibos are still a thing, that we got a Shantae amiibo, I wouldn't be shocked.
Sure.
So
I think I'm not gonna say bad things about Earthbound, but there is an Earthbound quality to Shantae in that people want it who whether or not you've played it or know anything about Shantae, you're just like, oh man, Shantae's worth $2,000. That's the game I want. I want a Shantae because it's worth $2,000 and it has a lady on it.
Yeah, the picture's a little bit risky.
God, Johnny.
I'm sorry.
Risky is the bad guy in Shantae, for those who didn't understand that stupid reference.
Oh, man. Come on. I'm sorry, Tyler. Just derailing this. All right.
Maybe that is a cool part of Shantae, though. So it does have, don't make me go on Shantae Wiki and find out how old she is, but she is a scantily dressed little 8-bit pixel that does belly dancing, and it's man, this is risque for a Game Boy Color game, the least risque console of all time.
Yeah, well, she's a half genie, by the way, if you don't know.
And
only half. Yeah. Her mother was a genie, her father was a human. And she uses her hair as a whip.
I think the game is okay. You see, the problem is, so if I had Shantae as a kid on Game Boy freaking Color, a console whose only good game is Pokemon Gold and Silver, I would 100% be on the Shantae train. I'd be yeah, all Shantae all the time. The problem is all those open world so this came out in 2000-ish? All those open world 2D platform games that I played on the Game Boy Advance have completely supplanted Shantae to me. I don't think it's better than something like Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. I mean, they're not exactly the same thing. Popful Mail, I don't think is exactly the same thing, but I think it's better than Shantae. I think part of it might be the platform that held it back, because Game Boy Color is a pile of garbage. But it's never excited me as much as it seems to excite everyone else.
Didn't it have
it is exclusive
features?
And it is a cool genre and it is a cool theme.
Was it one of the games that had if you played it in a GBA, it had special features or something?
Yes.
Something unlocked?
I always remember that because the cartridge says Game Boy Advance on it, which I think is cool.
Yep. So it's got some cool stuff going for it. Yeah, I like Shantae. What are you rating it?
Going with a 4. I don't even maybe
you're going
even
with
a 3.
A 4?
3.
A 3? Really? in an ongoing series that's continued to climb in popularity? This isn't this isn't got a down arrow. This is an up arrow.
I mean, it might have in general, if I was giving the public rating of it, it could be higher. But for me personally, it doesn't do a lot for me.
Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to, I think how it exists within the space of game collecting. I got a 7 on Shantae.
All right. I mean, you could be the more generic one. I'm just giving my personal ratings here.
Okay, yeah. And it's not that I don't think Shantae is necessarily a 7, given its rarity or anything. This rarity set. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a rarity set. Do I think it will matter in the future? I just think for right now, and that could change. If they've got PS5 copies of it coming out, but if it's definitely a thing that could die right here and never be seen again. Or it could be resurrected because it was dead on GBC, didn't make it to GBA, and then suddenly it just came out again. So, I don't know. This game's
Johnny,
a zombie.
Half of my rating is if I saw you post a picture of this game on your shelf, it's how much I would say, oh shit, you got that?
I would say, well, I like Game Boy Color more than you, but I also think, like, I'd be like, oh, damn, this Shantae, they're, like, committed to it. Like, they went hard at something. But I would say that for a lot of these things.
What did I rate it? Did I give it a 3?
Yeah.
All right, I'll bump it up to a 4 for you. How about that?
Okay. All right. Feels like it should be at least a 5, but all right, let's go on.
Shantae
Let's move on.
Let's not get crazy.
Air Raid is... Shantae is way more relevant than fucking Air Raid.
What did I give Gamma? Whatever I gave Gamma Attack feels way too high. I take it a 5.
Yeah. What did I say? A 0 or 2?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go on to some other games that don't matter. Here's a package deal for you. Ninja 5 and Pocky, Rocky, and Becky. These are the games for the GBA, right? These are the ones that serious GBA collectors are after. This is the top of the set. You can never climb the mountain higher than this. Pinnacle GBA right here, yeah?
These are amazing examples of the first person to say something can influence everything forever. Because if you put out the first blog post ever in like 2006 on the rarest Game Boy Advance games, and you put like Ninja 5 and Pocky Rocky Becky at the top of your list, every other blog post is going to copy off you without doing their research. And then even if someone eventually comes along and corrects you, there's so much copied misinformation out there that it doesn't matter. And it's still the thing because someone was the first person to say it was the thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm not saying like these aren't common games. Pocky Rocky Becky and Ninja 5 are not common games, and they're like exciting exclusives. Even I think that should be worth hundreds of dollars. But I think you know more than me. But like the serious Game Boy Advance people are after like the most insane, stupid nonsense that no one cares about. Powerpuff Girls Dexter's Laboratory double pack. There's like 3 of them that people know of, like these crazy, stupid things that are just complete garbage. Ultimate Beach Volleyball, I think, is one of them.
Shh, Tyler.
Don't talk about that one. You can talk about Ninja 5 because anyone could go get a Ninja 5 but
yes.
Ultimate Beach Volleyball, we got to keep that on the DL.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This is just the game that people talked about. And like you said, it's rare, but like if you went to eBay, how many copies do you think, CIB copies, do you think you would find right now?
Of Ninja 5? I mean, I really have no idea.
Pocky, let's say Pocky Rocky.
So Pocky Rocky, I think there's sealed copies of that. Is that like maybe a case pack game? I don't know. I would say complete in box Pocky 3.
7, 8, 9.
What, complete in box?
9.
Pocky and Rocky are
between sealed and CIB 9.
Wow. I bet there are a few Game Boy Advance games. There are not 9 copies for sale.
Absolutely. There are some that I haven't seen 9 of ever. So, just to put that in perspective.
All right. No disrespect to Ninja 5 Pocky, Rocky, and Becky. This is not their fault. They are just incorrectly rated on this. They kind of don't belong with the rest of the list. Like Shantae, I'll even give a pass. I understand Shantae, not the rarest Game Boy Color game, but it's like a collectible genre, a collectible theme. It's an exclusive. Like it has so much going for it that it doesn't even matter. And it is like a late release uncommon game. Like Shantae belongs on this list. Ninja 5 Pocky Rocky Becky, they're like the B+ tier of Game Boy Advance desirable games. You guys are I'm taught you, Johnny, and all our Game Boy Advance crazy people know way better than me. But in my view, looking in at your weird hobby, these are like B+ games.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja 5 and like, it's hard to say that they're B+ games because they are still highly desired and they are expensive. So if you have them, I don't want to shit on them because it's like, oh, you did something if you got this. You had to like go spend the money. But like, you know, there's like versions of Metabots that people are like, I want $2,000 for this Metabots game. And you're like, what is happening? Oh, you never heard of the B game? Like,
so they're B+ in the, well, actually, these are the rarest Game Boy Advance games. They're B+ in that sense. Maybe
even like Pocky and Rocky might be a B. Ninja 5 might be a B+, you know, because there's like 5 Ninja 5 out there right now on eBay. I think that's like a fair statement.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like literally 1 out of 10 for me on these. Like, I think they're cool. I think they are great genre exclusive collectible things, but they don't do it for me from the rarity sense.
I don't know
the rarest sense. I'll say
I'm like a 4 on these because I just don't know if they're gonna matter. Like, and I'm a little. I might be like a 4 on Pocky and Rocky just because I think that's a franchise people are more in tune with. Even though I think Ninja 5.0 is by far the better game. It's like both of these are fine games. Like Ninja 5.0 is the better game. Like 100%.
Ninja 5.0's box art also brings it down for me because it's so terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. But I mean, it's if you like Bionic Commando, right? Like you should check this game out. This is like pretty cool. But less people know, and I think less people are going to care. So I put that like at a 3. That's not how much I like the game because I like these much more than those scores. But yeah. 4 and a 3.
Johnny, fun story. I never sell anything. Somehow, just from flea marketing, I ended up with a complete Ninja 5.0 with everything but the game. So I had like the inserts, the manual, nice box. And I don't get rid of anything, but I have like this box. Like, what am I going to do with this box? I'm never going to complete a Game Boy Advance game. So I sold it for $5.
Oof.
And that's part of the reason I never sell anything, because 2 things I very vividly remember selling were Hurricanes on Super Nintendo and my complete Ninja 5.0.
Yeah, you should. The things you've sold, this didn't age well for you, either of these. You shouldn't sell anything. You did a terrible job.
Yeah. Never sell anything, kids. I sold I probably got like $1,300 for it, but I sold my M82 demo unit. But you know what? I haven't had to carry around an M82 demo unit my entire life, so that was an absolute win.
Oh yeah, that's like a 1 though for me. Like, who cares about that thing?
No, that's cool. Oh, wait, no. You want to go into like hardware? Oh man, M82, that's like a 5,
1.
4, maybe. That's all right.
A 1.
M82 is cool.
No one knows what that is, Tyler.
M8. Okay, let me tell the people something. So there's the M82, which is a Nintendo demo unit that you plug 12 cartridges into.
Our audience is only interested in things called M80s.
And then there's the M8, which is this it's a much thinner demo unit. You like stick a TV on top of it, and it's got 16 built-in games. So it's got like a huge PCB, and then the game ROMs are just like right on there. It doesn't have the actual cartridges put into it. But then there's this other version of the M8 that was just for sale recently, Johnny. And I can't find it now. M6. Johnny, have you seen a Nintendo M6?
Maybe.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. So it's exactly the same thing as an M8, but it has a slightly better kind of decal where the games are displayed. So the M8 shows the games in a little like windows, and you can like change them out kind of like a jukebox. And the M6 just has 1 sticker, and it's just like, you got these 16 games, and they're never changing out. Oh, it is so good. I've seen an M6 once. It was on eBay just a couple months ago, Johnny. Oh, it's so cool. Sold for $7,000.
So cool.
M6. 7 out of 10. You got a Nintendo M6? You're super cool.
Let's move on. Well, we got more games. Let's talk about this one. In case you guys don't know, we're going to move on to PlayStation. And we're going to talk about the biggest, the baddest, the best that the PlayStation has to offer. Team Buddies.
Team Buddies, one of the only video games that has halved in value over the past few years.
Somehow it's Final Fantasy VII since I bought it. Just like lost value.
I absolutely love that you have said Final Fantasy VII as a verb like that. Incredible. For anyone who doesn't know what he's saying, Final Fantasy VII, one of the most desirable games of the mid 2000s, let's say, like a genuinely expensive game, like, I don't know, $75 for a complete in box in an era where video games did not cost that much. And, you know, back to normal prices these days. In the crazy times of people collecting video games, there's just so many Final Fantasy VIIs that it came down in price.
Yeah, and this is not like I bought it in the 2020s, 2021, in the crazy time. We're talking like the 2008s of video game collecting, and it's like, like right after I had a copy and then I was buying some variants and then they all just halved in price. I was like, what happened to Final Fantasy? Do people hate Final Fantasy VII now? And then, yeah, Team Buddies was like the same thing. I bought it well before I was even doing the PlayStation 1 set. I was just like picking up PlayStation 1 stuff and it just, man, I didn't like spend too much money on it, but I think I spent like $100 or $140 on it or something. And then I think it's still that, maybe down to $100. So a thing that happened on like in the 2010 range of game collecting. So everyone thinks, oh, if you bought it like back then everything probably still holding a bunch of value. Not these ones. These are like weird exceptions, and they both happen to be on PlayStation. So,
all right,
weird.
We're definitely not talking about Team Buddies. I just want to say, like, while in that same era, like mid 2000s to like 2010s, I had no idea Team Buddies even existed. Like, it was not even remotely on my radar. I learned about it within the past 10 years, definitely, like ever being a thing.
Yeah. It was like a weird, dumb thing that only like people who were chatting about PlayStation. If you're like digging up forum posts by some guy named Danger Boy, where you're finding out about Team Buddies and stuff like this.
That guy sounds like a guy who would make a video on skydiving extreme.
He might have, become the PlayStation library just recently. So if you are a fan of GameRave.com or Game-Rave.com, remember it's under its new name, PlayStation Library.
Yeah, we should give a bigger shout out to that. So
yeah,
Game-Rave, never ever make a URL with a dash in it, guys. I mean, this is a very old website, so we can kind of give him a pass. But he's rebranding as PlayStationLibrary.com, which is a much more better and memorable name. Right now, it just redirects to Game Rave, actually. But if you don't know what Game Rave is, literally, it's one dude, and he is the source for PlayStation knowledge. He has been doing this for longer than you've been alive. And he's come up with the best lists. He's got the best content. He finds the coolest variants. He plays all the video games. He doesn't just put them on a shelf. He legitimately has a skydiving extreme video. Apparently, it's not that bad of a game. And he just puts out articles and videos all the time about PlayStation 1 stuff. Like, it's like all original research, original opinion stuff. It's not like the same regurgitated NES stuff that...
It's not garbage content.
Yeah, it's not like I watch a lot of garbage content. Shout out to the garbage content creators. I need something to watch 24/7 at all times. Look, what we're doing right now, I know we're on in the background while you're driving your truck, Steve. We're here to give you some more content. But yeah, Game Rave has super good content. Support his rebranding as PlayStation Library, where he is going to make like even better lists. I forgot.
He's going to talk about ring codes, and I just want to say he's going to shout out, like he will always shout out the people that work with him on his Discord. There is a Discord you can join if you want to support him. So you should do that. Like you should go on it. But he's got a lot of people who are very much in the same mindset as him, who like give disc codes, help him find stuff. So he will tell you he doesn't just work alone, though he is definitely the host of most of this. He gets to be the face of it. But I know he would want, us all to know that there are people helping him, though he did it for so long just by himself. Like, just give this man all the props, because what an amazing resource. And it was just made by him. He's great. We did a Patreon only episode where I talked to him. So if you haven't gone out, if you're a Patreon, and you haven't listened to that, you should go listen to me talk to Jason.
All right, that's a better shout out for Game Rave / PlayStation Library. I hope we don't have to say Game Rave / PlayStation Library ever. It'll be PlayStation Library completely one day.
Yeah.
All right. Now, speaking of people we know who own Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's Case, Johnny, Jason Dvorak, Danger Boy, the Game Rave, the PlayStation Library, Dan Gomez, the Modern Database. He doesn't own one. I was just saying more names. I'm like, you want to just like do a Patreon shout out? You want to start screaming? How do you feel about Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's Case?
I think this case is neat because I like some PlayStation stuff, and I think the PlayStation is still like, I don't know how I'm going to say this and like how people are going to take it, but somehow the PS1 is still kind of an underrated console as a collectible.
I agree. I think PlayStation should be like one of the consoles. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's the most popular. Like, well, all right. So Nintendo's in its own universe, but like in the realm of non-Nintendo games, it's the most popular console. Is PS5.
It dethroned Nintendo. It killed Sega and Nintendo with the tools that were given to them by Sega and Nintendo. Well, it's amazing. Like, you just couldn't write a better dumb story than this. Yeah, PlayStation somehow, and I'm not like a Sony guy, but that's like, yeah, it's criminally underrated still somehow. I don't know how it happens, but that said, I really don't care about this.
So hold on.
And
Before
this is working
we say
design,
we don't
right?
care about this, let's back up. What is this, Johnny? I think there's probably plenty of people who don't know what this is.
Okay, so it's a case, right? It's like a steel case with some foam inserts that comes with a gold-plated gun, right? The gun's gold-plated. The memory card should be gold-plated.
A gold-plated GunCon controller for the PlayStation 1.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah. The gold memory card and a copy of Elemental Gearbolt.
Elemental Gearbolt being an anime light gun game for people who don't care about PlayStation. It's just a light gun game.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's nothing against it. It's working design, right? It's working design. Was it also Atlas or just working design?
It's working designs.
I just can't remember if in Japan it was like, no, was it? Oh, it's developed by Alpha Systems. It's like, I know there's an A in there somewhere. Anyways, yeah, it's like, what do you want to say about this? It's got like all the anime stuff. It's fine. It's working designs. Yeah, aside from that, like there's a contest item, right?
So it was given away at E3 1998. And then I'm getting this literally off Jason's website, but it was given away at E3 1998 from the Working Designs booth. Did they have a contest? And then some of them went to various print gaming editors and web journalists.
Yeah,
apparently.
so it's a publicity item, right?
Yeah,
so
he says there are 40 plus sets, which 40 plus. It's like incredibly rare for the play. It's like the top thing on the PlayStation to own.
Yeah. And I'm still going to tell you that that's like a 3.
All right, Johnny, we're going back to my 2006 days where I'm a stupid teenager on Digipress. I would probably, if I was calling Nintendo World Championships a 10 back then, I would probably call this a 9. I thought this was the coolest thing. In a world where like PlayStation was like a modern-ish thing to collect, it wasn't like an exciting, Atari, Nintendo thing. For whatever reason, someone wormed into my brain and they're like, no, you don't understand. You guys are talking about your stupid rare games. No one has an Assassin's Case. And it was called the Assassin's Case. Damn. What did you give it?
A 3.
Yeah, I'm probably at like a 4. I think it would definitely have like the holy crap, you have one of those factor. And like, oh man, like... I don't care about Elemental Gearbolt at all. I'm not a working designs guy.
It's also the retail. It's the retail version of the game in the case too, so it's not like even a special version. It's just, yeah.
Thinking of like Japanese special editions, there's so many Japanese special editions, like random little big boxes like this that like, I want to put it down to a 3. But no, it's Assassin's Case, Johnny. It's
and
coolish.
The case is cool. It's cool. Like if you had it on your shelf, I'm the wrong audience because I'm an old man. I still like all this stuff. Like I'm saying like it's a 3 in the world of will people care about it, but like I think it's cool as shit. If I found one at a good price, I would love to buy it and like throw my money away on it. But that's just not a thing.
Right.
Also, the gold rubs off if you use the GunCon.
Yeah, it comes with a letter saying if your hands sweat a lot, you might not want to use it, which is incredible. Honestly, they're like, yeah, by the way, we did a really bad job making this. This is like a really cheap, like promotional giveaway thing. Don't actually use this.
Yeah, we actually just spray painted those in the backyard on some cardboard. We didn't do a sealing coat on this.
That makes it better because then you get a little letter, this like stupid letter that comes on Working Designs letterhead that like says like, hey, don't sweat on our promotional controller. Like they have made it a better collectible with that letter.
I agree. Yeah. It's that like it definitely makes it funner. Like there's like a much more interesting story that the gold will rub off on your hands, which is weird because there's the controller, the Super Nintendo controllers in Brazil, right? Like they rub off too. Like here's the thing. Just don't use gold colored things. The gold tends to rub off.
All right. John, I'm not going below Shantae. I'm giving it a 4. It's cool. And man, when we're doing like the 50-year test, like literally no one's going to care about that. Yeah, well, you know what? I think there's a universe where this holds on a little bit. Because I do think PlayStation cannot be forgotten. It's the PlayStation 1. PlayStation 5, it's gone. 50 years, are you kidding me? If there's a PlayStation 29, you think anyone's going to give a shit about the PlayStation 5? No.
Well, yeah, because it was the last system with physical media by PlayStation.
I think there might be weirdos who are like, "Oh, I collect physical video games. I'm a hipster." But I think PlayStation 1, maybe this will carry on some minor Air Raid-esque thing. I think it already is in the realm of Air Raid, and how many people care about this?
I think more people maybe than Air. Well, maybe not. But look, and you say, I'm not going to put it lower than Shantae, but I really think Shantae has more resonance and is more likely to survive the 50-year test than this.
I maybe agree. I mean, I probably agree. Yes.
Anyways, we've said a lot about this, and let's move on to
what, Johnny?
What?
The price. One actually recently sold, and this does not come up for sale, at least publicly, very often. One came up on Heritage Auctions and sold for $19,200.
Which is pretty good for Heritage, because a lot of times when you put something that isn't the right kind of collectible, like this, or anything that isn't a Nintendo black box game, essentially, on Heritage, it just like tanks.
I think like this must be, I don't know how often these come up for sale, but it must never come up for sale, basically, because like the games that we think of as like the cool rare stuff, your Myriad 6-in-1s, your Cheetah 2s,
I don't think of those as cool at all.
Sealed Hot Slot, whatever. The super rare high end Nintendo stuff. A lot of that does not reach $20,000, but Elemental Gearbolt comes in and it's like, yo, I'm some working designs light gun game and it gets $20,000. Like, yes, this clearly has cachet with at least 2 people on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, it may make me think that it does have more staying power than maybe I initially said.
I mean, it only takes 2 people to make an auction, so
it's true.
It could just be some dumb people.
That is true.
People. All right, Johnny. Star Fox Super Weekend. We're going back in time to the Super Nintendo.
Ooh, cool. Yeah. What can we say about this game except that it was sold in the back of a magazine called Nintendo Power? Same with Donkey Kong Country Competition Cart, which we're also going to talk about. I don't think people care about Star Fox. I think they kind of do. Like they say they like want to try, but I think at this point, Star Fox is more known for being on Smash Brothers than being the star of a game on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, that's 100% true. But I mean, that's kind of Nintendo's fault for making him an iconic Melee character.
Well, that's fine, but they tried to like get him on GameCube and the Wii U, and all that shit just failed. And they like even put Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo, mini system.
I mean, that was a really compelling reason to buy a Super Nintendo Mini. That Nintendo was putting out a new Super Nintendo game, new, unreleased, whatever.
Yeah. And I'm still like, does anyone care about this? Shout out to former co-host Stefan, who loves him some Star Fox, but I don't know how many people care. Like, I think this is very cool, but like, how many people care about Star Fox?
The Star Fox has the F-Zero quality of like, why won't Nintendo just give us another good one of those? But you know what? They made one on the Wii U. That's only one console ago. So you guys aren't starving as much as us F-Zero people are. And don't tell me, F-Zero 99. You could play the Super Nintendo game kind of online. No, give me F-Zero GX and HD. There's not even an HD F-Zero game. Don't you complain. You got Star Fox on the Wii U, whatever that. You got 2 of them technically because you got Star Fox Guard.
When are we getting the Star Fox compilation?
I guess Nintendo does
on the
do
Switch.
compilations.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. I don't know. I mean, we're probably going to get that rather than a new game, right? Because they have the games to do it.
Well, like a lot of times they like to grease the wheels or test public like desire for a thing by slapping that out while like they've started to do some like R&D for a new one. They're like, okay, we'll throw this out there, and if it does really well, then we'll continue development or we'll speed up the development cycle of this game because people are into it. So I'm waiting. And I don't think the Wii U is a fair testing ground for any game, because if it was, Nintendo wouldn't have re-released like 70 of them onto the Switch.
Johnny, I bet if you compiled Star Fox 1, 2, 64, Adventure, and Assault, forget about the Wii U one. You can put those on a compilation on the Switch. You throw out Assault, like no one needs that.
What about the 3DS one? That was a 3DS Star Fox, right?
No, just throw that out. You don't need it. Those 4 or 5 games, put that as a Switch game for $40. It would sell better than a brand new Star Fox game, and they would have to do no work.
Yeah.
That's the sad kind of state of things. That's why we're never going to get a Star Fox or an F-Zero, because they don't need to make new games when they've got the Star Fox compilation sitting in their back pocket.
Yeah, I would buy it.
Right? Yeah. I would probably buy it. I'd be like, all right, this is a more legitimate Star Fox 2. Maybe I'm going to get this. I'm going to call this Star Fox 2 now instead of the Super Nintendo Mini.
Like, you could advertise it as Star Fox 2 also with Star Fox 1, and I would probably just buy it.
All right, we're getting off topic now, but I think limiting your releases like that makes them more collectible. So if they literally put Star Fox 2 alone on a Switch cartridge for $40, I would 100% buy that. But if they put it out in a compilation cartridge for $40, I'd be like, maybe I'll buy that.
Okay, what if they put it as Star Fox 2 but had Star Fox 1 hidden in it, which are unlocked after you beat it?
As long as the box says Star Fox 2, I want to buy Star Fox 2. I feel like it's more collectible when it's like the landmark, it's the thing. This is Star Fox 2. Because like multi-packages, they just feel cheap. I don't know, they're not exciting.
It's true. I'm not going to dismiss that, because I believe there's a consumer mindset and psychology there that backs you up.
Yeah. But I mean, when I'm there to play the game and not collect it, like, oh my God, multi-pack's the best thing ever.
That's why Steam is great, right? Let's talk about prices, though. This thing is like $3,000, and that $3,000 price, those ones, was those including the insert? It doesn't come in a box, but it comes with a little like Star Fox scorecard or certification of the weekend, right? What's that little card called?
I think it's the scorecard, and like there's the Super Nintendo people, they want to have their scorecard, and I've never cared about the scorecard, Johnny.
Yeah, and there's also a PAL release of this, just so you guys know, Star Wing competition. So there's Star Fox Super Weekend and Star Wing competition. How do you feel about this?
So this is obviously a lesser thing than Donkey Kong, and I always thought of it as like, oh, that's the one that people don't really care about as much, and now it's like $2,500.
Crazy.
It kind of makes sense. It's the Super Nintendo. It doesn't really have the rarity of some of the other things we're talking about, because there's a lot of them for sale. Most of them for ridiculous prices that they're never going to get. Four maybe. I think it's cool. I think Star Fox is okay, and it's a little bit rare. I think it's fine. It's like one of them so here's the thing. Super Nintendo, the top end of Super Nintendo is not interesting. Like the top end Super Nintendo games are bad. I don't really got like Metal Warriors, that's cool, but like Aero Blasters, like a bad arcade port of a shooter, like no. I could buy an Aero Blasters arcade cabinet. Or Aero Fighters. I'm sorry, not Aero Blasters.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's fine. I think we need something cool at the top of the Super Nintendo set. I'll go 4.
All right. I think I'm comfortable at a 5 for this.
All right. I think I just maybe rate things lower in general in my life than you. You have to really wow me to get up to like a 7.
That's true, but like, man, okay. Well, we can talk about it. But in the same vein as this, we also have Donkey Kong Country Competition, which was part of that Blockbuster competition, and also not part of that. it had 2 showings, and part of it was the Blockbuster competition, but the other one was an independent one. And this, again, sold in Nintendo Power. Tyler, Donkey Kong, he's carrying a lot more weight than Star Fox.
Johnny, Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge, otherwise known as Blockbuster World Video Game Championship 2 by its proper name on the box. But we're talking about the one that people care about, not the garbage Sega Genesis cartridge.
True.
It's the coolest Super Nintendo rarity? I'm trying to think.
Is that cooler than Max?
It's definitely not as rare as Max, especially with all the stuff, because Max has the guns, and Max has like a TV. I think Max comes in like a crate on a pallet, or it comes in like a big crate, I believe, because I've seen like one of those for sale recently.
I think Max came a few different ways. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Max seems like one of those things that's a hassle to own. So
and
it kind of it loses coolness just for how big and complex and stupid it is. I mean, that is part of the reason that it is cool. Like, who doesn't want a Super Nintendo actual gun? But
me.
I don't want to really store that.
No.
So I think Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge may be the coolest Super Nintendo thing. I mean, in terms of rarities, I think like Super Mario World might be the coolest Super Nintendo thing.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think I can get behind that.
Johnny,
and
it's
I
not
don't
a
like
Nintendo game. It's a rare
hold on.
game.
What about Earthbound?
Don't make me choose between my hype rares. Oh man, you're the worst.
I know.
If I'd played Earthbound, I'd have a stronger opinion. I haven't beaten Earthbound, certainly.
You should cross that on. Like, you should do that this year.
I'm on a real
game.
RPG kick, so there's a strong possibility.
Like, you should, because you should know. We talk about Earthbound way too much for you not to.
That is the reason I have played like 50% of the games in my entire life. It's just because like, I talk about this a lot, or like I know a lot about this game. Like, I just gotta play all these stupid games. I played like Play-Doh Network games from like 1970s mainframes just because I talk about them too much. All right. Yeah, I'd probably put them about equal. And I guess they're pretty close in price, so I guess the market thinks the same. I mean, I think complete Donkey Kong is more expensive.
Yeah, and I think rarity, like, Donkey Kong is a true rarity, but, we'll argue whether it's part of the set or not. Earthbound's definitely going to be there. I don't know. I think... I just... Donkey Kong is more important to Nintendo than Earthbound, clearly. Right? Donkey Kong is one of the temples of Nintendo. You and I have argued about this, but it's true.
I forgot why you convinced me that it's true, because I still think they treat it as a B thing. Because it's one of those games they shell out to third-party developers.
But he is in the movie. He's in the movie.
Oh, no, yeah, your argument was terrible. Never mind. Donkey Kong is a B-lister according to Nintendo, even though he's like one of their most important characters.
He's in the movie. It's the thing that saved Nintendo, with the arcade cabinet. Come on.
Does Nintendo make like the Yoshi's Woolly World? Is that the most recent game? No, they don't. That's Goodfield. Okay, if Nintendo made Yoshi's Woolly World, I would have been like, come on, you guys care about Yoshi more than Donkey Kong? But maybe Nintendo just has better things to do than make games for children, Johnny. We'll make you guys Mario and Zelda games, but all these other characters, like, someone else can do that crap. Come on, we don't have time to make like games for our most famous first-party characters.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Because I was just thinking about this, because I actually have 2 questions. If they put the Donkey Kong compilation on the Switch cart, would you be into it?
I mean, I'm not into Switch, so no. Why?
Okay, but because you said if they put just like Star Fox 2, for instance,
yes.
You think just putting the singular title is cool, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you like Mario RPG more?
Because that was already released. I'm saying Star Fox 2, since that was never released, that would be the first release of the game, so I'd get it. I kind of like buy all the first-party Nintendo stuff. So I would get that just for that.
Okay. but you just don't. Donkey Kong isn't going to do enough for you, even though you're the guy here on the podcast who loves Donkey Kong.
No, it's not going to do anything for me. If you told me like we're releasing Donkey Kong 2, like an arcade hack or something as an official Switch game, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm there. Give me the official release of Donkey Kong 2 or like Crazy Kong, like something like that.
So, because this wasn't an official Nintendo release, but Star Fox is, you definitely then think that Donkey Kong is less important than Star Fox.
Johnny, what are you talking about? What are you trying to get me to say right now?
I don't know. I'm just like poking at you because you're the one who put all these weird no, this is A's B tier. It's not even developed by Nintendo.
I mean, it's true that you don't see them farming out their Zelda games except for that one time they did it with Capcom on the Game Boy Color, but it's the Game Boy Color. They didn't even care about the Game Boy Color.
I mean, and that whole thing where they went to like CDI and there was a Mario on there.
Well,
and
that was a mistake. They realized that was a mistake.
I'm saying, you said never happens. Anyway,
Donkey Kong competition, Johnny. It might also be a 4 out of 10 for me. Maybe a 5 out of 10. I mean, it's got to be better than Star Fox, right? So maybe it's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I would push it one above Star Fox as well.
It's got something going for it. I wish if it was like Super Mario World competition cartridge, it would be like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
Shit.
It would be the thing. It would
so much.
Right below Nintendo World Championships for me.
Also, can you what was Nintendo thinking when they made a competition cart and they're like, not once did they do this, but multiple times where they're just like, we're not putting Mario on there. What?
And it's so weird because Nintendo World Championships, which is that the first multi-game competition cartridge that there is? Like Super Mario Brothers, which they made work, even though it shouldn't work in a competition sense. Like getting 50 coins as fast as possible instead of focusing on the score aspect. Like props to whoever thought of that. That was a great idea. Rad Racer, not the A-list game on the cartridge, but a racing game is a good thing to have in a like that. It's not a bad pick, and it's not a weird racing game. It's like a really solid choice. And then Tetris, another like banger 10 out of 10 all-time classic. Nintendo World Championship fucking slaps.
Yeah, great picks.
I don't know what's like. Why are the rest of these Star Fox competitions? Like, all right, this isn't a game I associate with competition. People are literally Super Mario Brothers and Tetris are some of the games that have the most competition on planet Earth. Like 35 years later, like people are still speed running and score competing in those two games. That is how perfect they nailed Nintendo World Championships. Who the fuck is whatever you do in Donkey Kong competition? No one is doing that.
Nope. Who cares?
Oh man, I wish they would have a Super Mario World competition. I don't know what we would do, but Super Mario
just
World
like what if it was just
cool.
a speed run like on one of the levels? Just anything would be better than what we got.
All right.
What if it was just a redo of like getting the coins? There's coins to get, just anything. Donkey Kong? Really? Come on, guys. Give us the Mario.
Give us the Mario. It's because they wanted to
Swing
farm
your
out
arms.
development of the competition cartridge to Rareware. Nintendo doesn't want to do their own work.
I can't blame them. All right, let's talk about the price though. You didn't tell me how much this thing costs.
It's like $5,000 for a cartridge, and the box, which is really just an insert because it's a generic Blockbuster case, $6,000 to $15,000. It's rare and doesn't come up all that often, so big range.
So that's definitely cooler than the next item on our list, which we can kind of talk of. Which this was like the tentpole item for the set list of Super Nintendo once upon a time.
It still kind of is.
Yeah, it still is. It's Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally comboed with Speed Racers, a multi-cart. But both of these games are individually available on the Super Nintendo. Do you need this cart for the set, Tyler? Does it count?
Hell no.
Maybe. I'm undecided. Anyways, this game is trash. And you can spend $4,000 on it, probably get it, sealed. But some for some reason, people think right now they can ask for 12,000. It's like they haven't seen the progress of the video game market over the last year, so they're just asking for more money, even though they have evidence that this has been selling for less lately.
Yeah, I got that 4,000 price was Heritage Auctions. There was a sealed one that went for 4,000 somewhat recently, and it's just like showing like, okay, people just this is not, people don't care about this game sealed, because that's not that much more, I think, than what it would go for complete in box.
True.
Or even loose, like the loose prices people are asking like 2,500 and up. So, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was one of those, we've talked about this, but this is one of those games where like the difference between sealed and open, like there's just not that many differences because not many got opened.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, you got one. You did it. You did the thing. Anyways, this is like a 2.
Yeah, this is a 2, and it's not anything to do with the rarity. Like, all right, it's got some rarity. It's a weird genre. These exercise games, like, kind of the same thing with stadium events. Like they show up, Outback Joey. They show up on the top of these rarity lists, so it's in the right spot, being like this top rarity. It is just part of that uninteresting top of the Super Nintendo that just doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, I'm going with the 2 for this too.
All right.
Honestly, the most interesting thing about Exertainment to me is Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally is an exercise game. It's the same game as Cannondale Cup, right? Am I getting that right? Is that something else? I think I'm right. Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally is like $40 complete in box. You can get them sealed. Like I know there's new old stock of them. You can get them sealed for a couple $100. It's like, it's an exercise game on the Super Nintendo. Who bought an exercise game on the Super Nintendo? It's like a $30 cartridge. Like, why is that game so cheap? And it's not rare. Like, they come up. I just don't understand why there's more than 5 copies on Earth of the original Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally.
Yeah, I have no idea. And it was the Life Fitness exercise bike.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Some people like really like collecting this Life Fitness exercise bike because, you know, it's the thing that makes your Exertainment set complete. And it's like a really exciting collectible thing to them. I'm going with a 0 out of 10 on the Super Nintendo exercise bike. Just not something that I would ever be interested in owning.
No, I've had opportunities to buy that. I've had people hit me up on it. I'm like, nope, no thanks. Don't ever want to try and put that in my house. I just checked. Yes, Cannondale Cup, but the names of the racers and the bikes and the locations have all been altered. So,
okay,
totally different.
That's all well and good. I'm sorry to tell you, Cannondale Cup does not count for the Super Nintendo set, guys. Take it off the list.
It's got a different name and it's got different locations.
Cut down these lists to the real games that actually exist.
You know, when we did that and I like totally trolled you on like how to cut down the list, you were like, no. And now you're like, cut them all down.
Cut down these. There's too many games. These games aren't real. Cannondale Cup is not a real game. It's just Mountain Bike Rally.
Okay. And that's like, so you don't need any of the other Maddens. You just get the first one.
No, that is not the same thing.
Street Fighter 2 and then Street Fighter 2 Turbo. These are all the same games. Just pick the one you like best. It counts, right?
No.
Oh.
Those are different games. Cut it out.
You're sending out confusing messages. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Tower, tell me about this beauty of a Sega CD game. It's the Sega CD game, right?
It's the Sega CD game. We're talking about Snatcher. Oh, wait, we're not talking about Snatcher? That's we should be talking about Snatcher. I would actually probably give a high rating to. I love Snatcher. It's so cool. Yeah,
you love it, but like no one's going to care about that either.
No, it's Hideo Kojima. It's going to have some staying power.
Okay.
But KO Flying Squadron has kind of already shown that it doesn't have staying power. After a famous sealed sale on Heritage Auctions that sold for virtually the same price as Complete in Box.
You love to bring this up.
I love that sale so much. This game just tanked sealed. I love the idea that it wasn't like an investor selling it. It was like a guy who had held on to it for like 20 years and then got 0 premium selling it. And I think it was July 2021. So it was the peak of the video game market ever for all time. And he got 0 premium over a CIB copy. No one cares about KO Flying Squadron. except for weird Sega CD people.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So just because you have a famous creator doesn't mean that people are going to care about it.
Who's the famous creator?
I'm just saying for like Snatcher. I'm rebutting that. I don't know if that matters.
It's going to show up in lists. Like people think about like Jack Kirby comics, even if it's not like the most famous thing Jack Kirby's ever done. So it'll live on forever in some small way, at least.
So how familiar are you with Christopher Nolan?
You're going to talk about following? Are you about
Yeah,
to give me some following reference? You think I don't know my Christopher fucking Nolan?
I'm asking. I'm asking.
Yeah, it lives on because Christopher Nolan directed it.
Okay. Following was only okay. So you guys don't need to watch that. Like if you care about Christopher Nolan, which you don't need to, just go watch Memento. Don't bother with Following.
All right. But I was able to I knew what you were going to bring up because it's on a list somewhere and technically it has his name attached to it.
It's definitely a movie I found when I was like, who the fuck made Memento? Let me go check this guy out. Following. Yeah, I'll go watch it. Anyways.
So Snatcher's going to have staying power. I'm telling you.
All right.
The PC-88 version is like going up in price. It's worth hundreds of dollars now.
I didn't. Look, you said it. You got there. I didn't fight you after that. I said, okay. I agreed with you after
6
that.
6 out of 10 for Snatcher. 5 out of 10 for Snatcher. Snatcher's cool. I'm in. Yeah, I don't.
But
it's
what
not
about
on our list?
But what about this one?
KO Flying Squadron. We have it priced at $2,000 to $2,500. That seems like what it sells for.
Yeah.
It's
3?
Cool. It's a 3. It's rare. Is it even that rare? Like I don't know. It's hard to tell with these games. Like, are they genuinely rare, or is it just like there's not that many buyers anymore?
Well, but it's also on like Sega CDs, so they definitely didn't make that many.
Like, yeah, they didn't make that many to begin with, and it's one of the rarest Sega CD games. I think it's probably not the rarest. I think like maybe the Space Adventure is rare. Like Radical Rex. There's like some rare
NFL Trivia.
Yeah, there's like it's in the running. I don't know.
It's definitely got the mind share. That and Snatcher definitely have the mind share.
Yeah, Snatcher is not the rarest by any metric. But people like it because it's a cool exclusive, quote unquote exclusive. Yeah, all right, I'm with you on a 3. It's okay. I love the Sega CD, and even I'm just like okay on KO.
Same.
I understand why Snatcher is not the rarest game, yet it sells for a huge premium because Snatcher is a much, much cooler game. And I don't care. Oh, it's a shooter. Not every shooter has to be like the coolest thing ever. Don Patchy is the coolest thing ever because it's Don Patchy. That game rules. That game should be $2,000. But sometimes a shooter's just a shooter. It's a cool genre. It's fine. It doesn't mean it's the most timeless, amazing game ever.
Agreed.
But Don Patchy is. Everyone needs to play Don Patchy. Ugh.
Well, let's move on to a game that I'm going to put in a very similar category as this for the Sega Saturn, Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Panzer Dragoon Saga, Johnny. The rarest game of all time. They lost the source code. It'll never be ported. And actually, what are the chances that it's both the rarest game of all time that they lost the source code to, Johnny, but it's also the best RPG ever made?
It is not that thing.
Panzer Dragoon Saga is okay. It's cooler than KO, I think.
I don't actually.
Whoa. Really? It's got way more clout than KO.
It does. I just think this game is fine. I remember like being so hyped to play this, and when I finally did, I was like, this is it. This is the thing we've all been waiting for. Okay.
That is so wait, did you play it in like the 90s or the 2000s?
In the 2000s.
Okay.
Early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it like 5 years ago, and that's exactly how I felt after decades of people building it up as like one of the greatest RPGs ever. And it's like, yeah, this is fine. Like what? No, there's no universe in which you can compare this to like Final Fantasy VII. Like How do you have the gall to even make the comparison?
Look, Final Fantasy 1 is still a better game. Final Fantasy 2 is Final Fantasy 3. Like, just get out of here, Panzer Dragoon Saga. Give me Dragon Warrior. All right. Sorry. This just like if you're gonna play an RPG on the Saturn, like I just go play Shining Force 3. What are we even doing here?
Yeah. I think it's got some clout. I'm not definitely gonna put it higher than KO. I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad. It's very overrated.
Fine. Yeah. Would you rather play this or Shining Force 3?
I mean, since I've already played this, I'd rather play Shining Force 3. But I think
Shining Force...
almost definitely I'd rather play Shining Force 3, even, pretending I've already played that because I played the other Shining Force games.
Yeah, if you've played Shining Force, you've played this.
Like Shining Force, like, all right, I realize we only got a third of it in America, but like that's like a strategy RPG I could sink my teeth into. Panzer Dragoon Saga is like, it's like 12 hours long. It has like 2 towns, and all the levels are like empty tubes. There's so little to it that it's crazy how much it gets hyped as the best thing. It's got the coolest laser dragons, like 10 out of 10 for the laser dragons.
I think the laser dragons are what people are just like, fucking dragons. Yeah, I think that's it.
Pretty cool.
All right.
Awful box art too. I don't know if it brings it down, but yeah, it's like a 4.
Yeah, I'll go with 4. Here's
it's like $1,000, by the way. I put the psychological price because I feel like if something has been sitting at $1,000 that long, it's just because people have in their mind like, whoa, $1,000 is a lot. I don't know. I feel like if there was, it feels like it's being pegged to that price too much, and it's not like genuine supply and demand anymore. It's just like, whoa, $1,000. Like, oh, if I get it for $920, it's a deal. If I pay $1,100, that feels like too much, and it just kind of sits there for a while. Because the Sculptor's Cut cartridges do the exact same thing.
Well, and it's also like, if for the people who do want to play it, it's like ransom behind a system that is a disc that's harder to connect to modern TVs. Like, it has some things going against it.
I mean, Saturn? I think Saturn emulation is good enough now that people don't care.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for so long, Saturn emulation was just
garbage.
Horrid. Anyways. Let's move off. Let's talk about another game which has a psychological price, shall we? It's a favorite of yours. I know you deeply care about this game and love it. Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut for the N64. It's
Johnny,
a really good game.
Video game.
It's a bad game.
It's a somewhat nostalgic game. Shout out to my friend Greg, who had Sculptor's Cut, didn't even know it at the time. He actually had the rarest game of all time.
Guess what? It's the worst game on this list.
I'm looking through the list. I mean, in like a pure rarity, I guess it is more common than Buster Douglas.
I'm not saying in rarity. I'm talking about if you had to play something, this is my last pick.
I haven't played Buster Douglas. Oh man, they're both fighting games. Oof. I mean, I'd probably rather play Buster Douglas just because they're like 8-bit games. Sure, I'll say it's the worst game on this list.
And I don't hate Clay Fighter on the Super Nintendo. I like it. And this is terrible. Terrible. Both of them. Clay Fighter 33 1/3, also just terrible. Just bad.
Johnny, it's a rental exclusive.
Oh, yeah, cool.
That they sold after renting it, so
yeah.
Then there were suddenly 10,000 Blockbuster stores that had a copy for sale, which almost makes it like a retail release.
Almost, but you couldn't find a manual for this. The manual is still the hardest thing to find for this game. The box hard to find, manual the hardest piece by far. Legitimately rare.
So that does give it something. There is something to Sculptor's Cut, because as much as we make fun of it for being a garbage collectible, so the complete in box, the rental exclusivity does affect the complete in box because it's super hard to get complete in box. And if you're like a sealed person, like forget about it. There's like a couple, because that's the genuine rental exclusivity rarity. But the cartridges are just out there. Like what?
Yeah.
Why is this cartridge $1,000? You people are out of your minds. You shouldn't be collecting a loose N64 set to begin with. As someone who has a loose N64 set, why? What did you do? What have you achieved? You spent $1,000 on Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. Are you proud of yourself?
Yes. No.
Johnny, let me tell you about this game called Base Rush Eco Gear. It's for the Japanese. It's the Japan and Super Nintendo. Japanese N64 has like half as many games as US. That is how small the set is. There's this game, Bass Rush Eco Gear, and I've been casually looking for a complete in box copy for years, and I've never seen a nice one come up. I saw like one garbage one come up, and I can't find a single copy of this game for sale anywhere, any price. I think it was on Dreamcast too. I'm not talking about that one. But I can go buy a Sculptor's Cut right now for $6,000. Buy it now on eBay. Why are you guys not buying this stupid N64 fishing game in Japan that no one has? No one has it. You'll have it and no one else will. Isn't that the appeal of owning Sculptor's Cut? You will have this N64 game that in some universe no one else has. But you could have Bass Rush Eco Gear, and then it would actually be true. I'm going to go quickly look on eBay just to make sure there's not one for like $30, and I'm just saying nonsense. There's some cartridges for $60. There's one with a manual. There's not a complete one. I think you could make a complete one if you bought everything, but my point stands.
Okay.
This game's cooler than Sculptor's Cut.
My question for you, though, is, given the popularity of the N64... do you think this has any staying power, or are we giving this another low rating?
I think it's hard to know what to think with this. So I think Stadium Events definitely has some cachet about it in that it's important enough to the hobby at large, and it's on NES, that it kind of will be around forever just for those reasons. And like, I feel like there's some amount of that to Sculptor's Cut too, and it's not exactly for the same reason. It's because there are so many cartridges. It is so gettable that so many people will be pushing it forward forever just because it'll be a quote-unquote top game that's kind of gettable. I don't know. I feel like so many people talk about Sculptor's Cut that it'll kind of be around. Maybe not in like 50 years, though. Maybe we'll all be dead.
What do you got, a 5 on it? What do you got?
You see, am I giving it the cartridge or the complete in box rating?
The complete in box.
I know.
Who gives a shit about the cartridge?
I know. I mean, God, am I putting it above like KO? What did I give Panzer Dragoon Saga? A 4?
Yep. It's more important than Panzer Dragoon Saga. Come on.
I mean, more important is a very subjective. Yeah, I'll give it a 5. I mean, yeah, complete in box. There's a holy shit factor to a complete in box Sculptor's Cut. That's definitely for sure. I might even give it a 6.
Man, did we should have written down our.
Whatever.
We should have written these down.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5. I think 6 starts getting into like really top tier stuff, but yes, I mean 5. That's a high score for me.
Do we? Yeah, but do we like more important than Star Fox Super Weekend?
Complete in box Sculptor's Cut? Yeah, I would say like that's way cooler to own than Star Fox Super Weekend. No, is it though?
No.
Don't. Why are you making me say these things out loud?
Whoa, that made me
Johnny,
sick to my
it's
stomach.
a rare. I mean, and they're always messed up a little bit. It's so hard to find a nice box for Sculptor's Cut.
4.
All right, I'll go down to 4. It's Sculptor's Cut. Like, let's not go crazy.
And I'm only giving it 4 for the N64 people. So
here's a good one, Johnny. We're only 2 left. How long is this episode? 6.5 hours?
Yeah, 6, like 7 hours. We're good.
Pokemon box Ruby and Sapphire for the Nintendo GameCube. We're getting into the modern grails because everyone's collecting GameCube and no one has Pokemon box. And unlike Sculptor's Cut, there's not like 47 cartridges that you could just go buy.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. You know why? Because it says Pokemon on it.
That is like, exactly why it's interesting.
Like, whatever, we can say whatever we want about Donkey Kong. But the biggest name on this list is Pokemon outside of Mario. Like Mario and Pokemon are it. These are the two biggest swingers out here, right?
Sure, yeah, that's what swingers means. Ask your mom.
No, like, why are you making it this weird thing?
Well,
That's
you
not
said
what I'm
swingers meaning dick swinging, right? I mean, you were being weird about it too.
Yeah,
All right.
but alluding to and being like, yeah, go ask your mom about the upside down pineapple in your house. Anyways,
Johnny, I love Pokemon Box.
do you?
So the big thing against it has there's this small, tiny problem. It's not a video game.
It sure isn't.
It's
a transfer and storage system.
We can overcome that problem by just ignoring that fact. 1, it says Pokemon. 2, it's a big box. 3, it's genuinely rare. And 4, so many people settle for just the complete in box game that if you have the big box, you get to lord your big swinging one over them forever because you got the big box. You're the guy. You did it. And it's a cardboard box in an era outside of cardboard boxes in general. I love Pokemon, but I think it's such a good collectible.
Look, it's called Pokemon Box, not Pokemon Case. So,
God, you have to say that every single time anyone shows you a Pokemon box. I am so sorry. I know we have people in the Discord who have a complete in case Pokemon box.
Congratulations. Anyways, this thing's like $2,000 for an incomplete one, $3,000 plus for a CIB. It says Pokemon. I do like what are you giving this? Because I've got a high grade on this. I'm up in the 8 or 9s, I think. I think I'm like at an
9? 8. I mean, I know I've given everything else a kind of low grade here.
I just think it's Pokemon. In the world of like crazy Pokemon collectors, I just never like. Maybe I'm overrating Pokemon. I just like.
I gave Nintendo World Championships a 7, I think, Johnny. I mean, I'm hesitant to put this on the level of Nintendo World Championships. Maybe I underrated Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think I put them higher than you. So
yeah, I know you did. You did. I might be a 6 on this. Maybe a 7. I do like it a lot.
Maybe okay. I'm going to settle at a 7.5. It's Pokemon. I just think like it's a 7 with a question mark for me, like around that, because Pokemon can do anything. I just like I'm too much of an old man. I'm just old enough to have missed Pokemon, so I don't understand. Like Pokemon goes crazy from now and again. My buddy sells it at his shop. It's less like Pokemon people are crazy, and it's not just like young people. It's like old people too. Pokemon is a thing of its own. I watch my wife play an F ton of Pokemon. Like my wife doesn't go anywhere for anything, and she like went to Vegas for a Pokemon Go thing. Like what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. Pokemon people are mad, so I think it'll always be a footnote because of them.
I mean, it's one of the rarest Pokemon things. I think there are probably rarer Pokemon games. Shout out to the Sega Pico Beano. Beano? Is it really Beano? It's not Beano. What is it? Anyway, the Sega Pico Pokemon games are probably rarer than this.
Probably the big box Emerald on GBA.
Sure, yeah. And that's a good
some
one,
like weird
that's an actual beloved Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not rating these on, like, the rarity scale. I'm rating these on, like, the general 1 to 10 collectible scale where, like, a copy of The Legend of Zelda is, like, a 10 out of 10. And so I don't want to put Pokemon Box too close up there because it isn't a Pokemon game. It is still just Pokemon Box. But everything else about it rules. I'm giving it a very strong 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Pokemon Box. You friggin' $3,000 GameCube game, crazy bananas world we live in.
Yep. Okay. Let's wrap it up with the rarest, only 2,000 ever made, Tyler. One of my favorite numbers to always get trotted out about any rare game. I love this. The
impetus for me choosing this episode today, Johnny, was the Devil's
game.
Third on Wii U. Someone on Reddit posted a copy of Devil's Third and said, this game is so rare, only 2,000 were ever made. A number they completely made up out of nowhere and makes no sense. And then I counted, there are 42 US ESRB copies on eBay right now, but only 2,000 were ever made. It's incredible that within a 1 week period of sale, that percentage of copies would be for sale on eBay.
Holy shit. People are like, well, it's like, yes, I understand there was like a low initial print run, but like until we find out if there was a second print run and can identify that accurately, and if anyone's looking at Devil's Third this hard, like there are more than 2,000 Devil Thirds. I don't know why every rare game ever in the history of time has always been, there's only 2,000 of these. They're like, well, we can't say 1,000 because that's too low. 5,000 seems like too much. The perfect number is clearly 2,000. They always settle on 2,000, Tyler. How does this happen?
Because it seems kind of low, but I don't.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I mean, 10,000 is the real. If it's rare, it's 10,000. That's the number. I guess because it's Wii U, 10,000 seems like too much because it's so recent. So they had to lower it and be like, I don't know, 2,000.
But this is like every time there's a rare game, any system, doesn't matter what it is, always like 2,000. There was 2,000. And like even limited run games, when they first started publishing games, they're like, we're only making 2,000 of these things. That was a number they love to pull out. Anyways, 2,000, always the number. It's bullshit. This game is roughly between $270 and $300, pretty much nonstop, selling every day. It's not rare. It's just, it's got a lot of recency bias. It doesn't have a lot of history. People are going to talk about it in 10 years just because that's not enough time to totally forget about this game, but I'm still putting it at like a 2.
I mean, in the exciting rarity sense, like maybe a 1. I don't think Devil's Third has almost anything going exciting for it, except that it's an Itagaki game who is the Ninja Gaiden guy, which makes me want to put it back up to a 2 almost. But no, it's a 1. There's nothing excites me about Devil's Third. What do we have at a 2? We have like James Buster Douglas at a 2. I'm not putting Devil's Third nearly on the par of James Buster Douglas on Sega Master System.
Only because physical media might stop within the next 10 years, and this will still be around for people to talk about.
Oh, I mean, sure, yeah. This had a free-to-play Windows version. I just pulled up the Wikipedia article.
Gross.
What? Okay. So the story with Devil's Third is that there was a weird blog post or news article, like someone who worked at a GameStop went into their system and they brought up some sales chart, like some meaningless thing that no one looking at it knew what it actually meant. And they said GameStop only ordered like 600 copies for the entire US of this game. Something that was like, it could not have been true. Like, there's no way there's only 600 copies of this game in the US. And then like every nerd on the internet went to buy it. They're like, we did it. We found the rarest game. And then guess what? There were more than 600 copies. So it was just nonsense. Yeah. And that's the entire story of the Devil's Third. That's the only reason anyone cares about it, is like a dumb, incorrect news article. And
it was towards kind of the end of the Wii U hype, and just
yeah. Also, yeah, I remember in those Wii U set collecting days, basically towards the end of the Wii U hype, when everyone was finishing up their Wii U sets because there's only like 100 games.
Hello Kitty and this.
Hello Kitty. This was no problem. Because during that rush of like everyone needs to go get Devil's Third, I forgot what I did. I just went and got one for MSRP somewhere. Turbo Stunt Squad, I remember, was killer.
The Crudes
was a hard one.
Yep, and for a while, what was the Barnyard game? The barn game. That was. Like,
I don't think Barnyard was that hard. I think
that was like one of the first ones that had like a rush on it, and then like came down, and then like Hello Kitty Cruisers came out and like spiked, and then the Crudes, and then Stunt, like Devil's Third had its own run. There was a few Wii U games that had like a run at being like a rare thing, and yeah.
I got my Turbo. I think I bought for $60 used on eBay, and I like figured out like this never comes up for sale, and I felt so good about it. I'm like, I'm a genius. Turbo is going to be the game of all time. And like it was like the last one on eBay. There was nothing. And if you guys lived through that era where you're like buying all this rare stuff, like legitimately, I probably bought the only copy of Turbo on eBay when I bought it. And I felt like, oh man, Who this kid's game doesn't exist. None of these people are selling their games. Go on eBay now and look for Turbo Stunt Squad. There's like 20 copies for sale. They're all buy it now as the people asking like $150 for it that aren't going to sell them. But like, guess what happened? Those kids moved out. Their parents gave their shit to Goodwill or sold it at the flea market. And those copies of Turbo Stunt Squad have made it into the hands of resellers who bring them to market. And no one actually wants to buy Turbo Stunt Squad anymore. So all these copies are going to sit here forever.
You say that, but I'm going to go take you through the solds, shall we? Sealed, December 16th, $450. Buy it now. Sealed, December 31st, $255. That was an open auction. $135 for a CIB, $142, $140, $140, $135, $125, $125. People are paying over $100 for this game. That was in solds. Let's see what it's.
Complete their sets. I mean, yes, some amount of people needed to complete their set. Same with Sculptor's Cut.
Yeah,
but this game is not like some. There were people in what was it like? Was it like 2019-ish? Who were acting like games like Turbo and The Cruise were like rock solid investments.
Oh.
Like you need to get these before they fucking explode.
Yeah, no, this is like, it's going to be like $100, but yeah, it would be a very unexciting $100 to spend for sure.
Yeah, like the guy who spent $400. You said their first sale was $450. Like who spent that on a sealed Turbo Stunt Squad? Is that a Disney movie? It's a DreamWorks movie.
DreamWorks.
I don't remember this movie at all.
This and The Crudes were both DreamWorks, pretty sure.
Oh, wow. It's got a like huge weird rip on the bottom on this $450 I thought it would have been like the most mint copy that ever existed.
Nope. Crudes is a game that's not $100. That's one you can find for like $30. But for some reason, Turbo Stunt Squad has survived this. I think Hello Kitty's probably collapsed as well.
I think it got an actual Wii U reprint, maybe? Or maybe just the Switch version diminished all hype because it was just coming out on Switch. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep, there's a sealed one for like $90, $70. Yeah, you can get this game for like $30, $35.
So, guys, we were talking about Panzer Dragoon Saga, but remember, the Wii U is the next Sega Saturn.
That's right. And the fact that they will both be lost to time and no one will give a shit about them.
I mean, I love that we think on these terms long enough, because it always reminds me of the quote, in 500 years, no one will care about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No one's going to care about the Wii, about the Sega Saturn. Yeah, someday. We'll be dead, but yes, no one will care about the Sega Saturn someday. And I love that we have to think on those kind of scales.
All right, that's it. We did it. We ranked some hot shit games. Was there a rare game that we forgot to dunk on that you wanted us to? Let us know in the comments that we don't actually post this anywhere where you can post comments. So, except our Discord. Let us know what we missed.
Yeah, I'm sorry for giving basically everything a low score. I'm at a place in my life where random hype rares don't excite me as much as they used to. I think it's partially because I have a lot of like quote unquote randomly rare games, the Turbo, and like not even Turbo Stunt Squads, but like a little bit better than Turbo Stunt Squads that just like James Buster Douglas doesn't do it for me because I have rare games. I've got homebrew that like, who has this random homebrew crap sitting around? Like there's probably like 50 copies of some of these games that ever get produced. So like James Buster Douglas is just another one of those things to me. I need to have something to it. Shantae has something to it. It's an exciting, exclusive, beloved series. What are the only things I gave like over a 5 to were like Nintendo World Championships, Mario, Donkey Kong Competition. I guess no, Clay Fighter got a 5, and then Pokemon Box. Big fans of Pokemon Box on this podcast. I don't own a Pokemon Box, by the way. I just think you did it right. Spending $3,000 on Pokemon Box, Johnny, really good decision. Just saying.
All right.
Just roll it into your student loan debt. Like what? That's just a big meaningless number. What's another $3,000 on top of that? Do it, guys. You'll have a Pokemon Box. Think of how good that'll make you feel for a few minutes.
Well, every time you see it on your shelf and you're like, don't touch it. Anyways, Tyler, do we have a collector's question?
Johnny Shandata asks, why does Tyler hate magazines? Magazines are for hoarders. That is like 50% of the reason I don't like magazines. I associate them with hoarding. I realize I'm like a hoarder. I collect mass-produced media. This is worthless in a real sense. I also think a lot of video game magazines are not as good as you remember them as a kid in the pre-internet era. Like, I would devour Nintendo Power cover to cover. And looking back at it, I was reading strategy guides and previews for games I did not and would never own. And they're not well written. They're not like exciting. They do have a bunch of art and screenshots. And like, I like video games. I want all the video game content. But I think a lot of magazines are somewhat uninteresting. Next Generation is an excellent magazine. I love Next Generation. I have a collection of my favorite Next Generation issues. I got like the first issue. I got like the Ocarina of Time issue. But yeah, I just don't like magazines. Johnny, why do you like magazines?
I don't like many magazines, Tyler.
Do you like Nintendo Power?
I do, but it's just because I have nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not keeping...
Breaking through nostalgia is the best, because I don't have to like Nintendo Power, even though it's a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, like I don't... it's not like I got a pile of VGMs in here.
Yeah, I don't have any... I actually have an almost full set of PC Gamer demo discs, so... I like the stuff that came with magazines sometimes. I've got a lot of the OXM demo discs. I like discs. Give me some media.
Magazine exclusives, sweet. Magazines, boo.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's some like games and demos that came out with Japanese magazines in the 80s on like the little tapes that came with the magazines. I want some of those, Johnny. Give me those magazine exclusives from ASCII Magazine.
All right.
All right. When did you first hear the NES and SNES be called the NES and SNES, respectively? I hate those terms. For me, it was always the regular and the super. I think that's a British thing, isn't it? Don't they call the NES over there?
Like NEZ? NES?
I think so.
Ugh.
Maybe.
Like not NES?
It might
like
be
not
NES.
NES?
I don't. Some British person write in and tell us what's up with that.
Like, I have heard it called the NES and the NES and the Nintendo Entertainment System and, all the Super Nintendo variants of that, but never the NES or the SNES.
No, there's definitely people who say that. I mean, they're wrong, but there are people who are like, oh, it's faster.
Blah.
Yeah,
Blah.
I think it's stupid Europeans. I like Nintendo. I like saying Nintendo. I like the fact that the company name can be applied to a console. I just like calling it Nintendo.
So a lot of times I'll say NES because that denotes like the original Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's a way to like, if you just write Nintendo, it's like, it becomes less specific, even though like, I mean the Nintendo Entertainment System proper. So...
Johnny, do unlicensed DVD... This is 6 questions in one post, but I love the enthusiasm, so we're just going to do them all.
Okay.
Do unlicensed DVD games like Mad Dog McCree or Dragon's Lair count towards a set for PS2 and Xbox?
Oh, is this all Shane data?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, because those are just stickers. Those are DVD games, so you could put those in your DVD player and play them.
Yeah, I feel like that would make every single DVD movie ever part of the PlayStation 2 set, because they are all like interactive things that you could play. And like a lot of DVDs have little, at least in like the early 2000s, they had like shitty little mini games that you could play in the menus. So like in a technical sense, they are games. No, but I don't know. Someone's got to put together a list of those DVD games. I'm sure someone has done it. But like the standalone releases, like that's a cool set to go for. I think DVD games, they're bad, but that's the only way I've ever beaten Dragon's Lair was off the Dragon's Lair DVD. I mean, it's a legitimate way to play like some of those stupid FMV games, I think.
I think it's a fine way to play them. I don't have a problem. I don't think they count for the set, but also I think if you're getting a set of PS2 games or Xbox, what's like 4 more games? Just get them. Like, who cares? Toss them in there. They're a fun enough oddity to talk about. I like them.
Yeah. There's also like there's DVDs that come with like Xbox demos. Like there's a bunch of cool DVD stuff. Let's be DVD people, Johnny. No, I collect too much media. I don't even want to think about collecting another form of media. Is really.
Would you like to buy records?
Absolutely not. Johnny, have we ever discussed music games before?
Yeah, you like them.
I love me some rhythm games.
Like rhythm games or specific, like what do we mean music games?
I'm guessing rhythm games.
Okay.
I guess we haven't made an episode on it.
Oh, I have one queued up for us for next Christmas, remember.
Okay.
12 drummers drumming, 12 collectible rhythm games. Or 9 ladies dancing, 9 collectible dance pad and power pad games.
I mean, there's probably enough to do an episode about some of the more interesting stuff. But when I think about the rhythm game community, which I am an observer of, I'm not a participant in, but most of the talk is not collecting the physical games. It's about getting the arcade experience at home. So people want to talk about arcade style controllers that they can buy for their home, or they want to talk about owning the actual arcade machines. Owning like the PS2 software is a non-issue because if you play rhythm games, like you probably are pirating all your songs. Like you don't want the PS2 game that has 75 songs on it. You just want to run whatever will run all 7,000 of your songs. At least that's how I approach it, and that's how a lot of people I see approach it. So,
are we answering the question? Like, are we talking about Rock Band and like Guitar Hero?
Yeah. But I mean, most rhythm games are going to be Japanese, Johnny. I hate to tell you, it's a bigger genre in Japan because, we're still talking about Guitar Hero and Rock Band games that came out in like the mid 2000s.
Those two games though, like perfectly encapsulated a moment in time for gaming.
I mean, they sure did.
Yeah, I still mourn the loss of Rock Band.
Sure kind of sucks that Rock Band came out just when we all switched to HD TVs and we had like the worst HD TVs possible, so we all had like a ton of lag.
Yeah.
Would have been great to be playing Rock Band on a CRT.
Or now, where the lag has at least been reduced and there's things you can do. But at that point in time, woof. And some people were playing on CRTs back then still.
Man, if you had your Wii hooked up to a CRT, what are you, a poor person? Go to Black Friday. They've got HD TVs at Black Friday. You can get a flat panel.
No, they were like 13-year-olds, and their parents were like, well, I'm not going to throw away this CRT because we just got a flat screen. Like, guess give it to the kid.
And now you go online, it's like, you're playing on an HD TV? What are you, a poor person? Get a CRT. It's how it was meant to be played.
Gross. All right. Just get what is it? A retro tank?
Yeah, they have the I think their new retro tank. I think it's $1,000, dude.
I saw a video about them saying how great it was, though.
I mean, you don't have to tell me. Charge me $1,000 for a product and just tell me it's the best thing, and I'm like, I'm interested. It's kind of like the analog thing, where like if Hyperkin, if they put out like a $79 Nintendo, I'm like, all right, so they got some stupid $79 Nintendo. But then Analog comes along, and they're like, yo, what's up? This NES is $500. I'm like, what's that? It could be the same exact thing. It's like, well, they must have done something better. I think it's made of aluminum, so what? It has more. It's more influenced by static, and it can scratch my cartridges. This seems like a better thing than the Hyperkin.
Well, aluminum's a really valuable metal. I would never just take these cans to the recycling center and get them $2 a pound for them. This aluminum must justify the $500 price tag.
Yeah. Johnny, wait, let me just say, FPGA, that means it's exactly the same as original hardware, and there will be no bugs.
Nope. We know that's not true, Tyler.
The Analog NT Mini is super good. I'm talking about the original Analog NT that I was an early adopter of, and perhaps did not meet its promise of being the best Nintendo ever, and even had some compatibility issues, which is strange for a thing because it ran on original Famicom chips. It wasn't even like an FPGA thing. It was an FPGA thing. I don't want to get into the analog NT right now. It's an okay product.
Go look at videos of the new Retro Tank, like, and they're showing it's like how it's drawn on TVs now. It's like looking pretty good. They're figuring out some things.
So, man, spending $1,000 on a scaler seems like a stupid thing to do. I think I've become more okay with emulation in like the past few years. I used to be pretty much like 75% playing on original hardware when I play old games. Now I'm like 90% emulating. Even when I play like my all-time favorites, so like I'll just play Ninja Gaiden on an emulator. I don't need to, and I have it like set up in my room, and I still just go on the emulator.
Boring.
One of the things with input lag though is that the RetroTink can like whatever cut it down to zero better, zero basically. But now emulators with run ahead, they can literally run 1 or 2 frames ahead of the emulation and have like quote unquote negative input lag. And I think that in some cases it's even better than real hardware. I don't know.
I don't want that either.
I don't know. Emulation is pretty good. I don't know if I have to spend $1,000 when emulation is as good as it is, Johnny.
Just go look.
They're going to be talking about pixels and scan lines, and I'm going to be like, I got to pre-order this thing. Look at all those pixels. I love pixels.
Look at how the pixels are drawn. Oh, it's as close as it's ever been.
My FrameMeister, I think, what was a FrameMeister? Like $380? I think that's more money than the TV I have the FrameMeister hooked up to. I have it hooked up to a 720p TV. It's like 30 inches. They don't even make TVs that size anymore.
Gross.
I don't like living room TVs for old games. NES games were not meant to be played on a 65-inch screen. They're meant to be played on a smaller screen. Got to cram those pixels together.
I am an old man and I don't like it. We'll be in the basement where it smells like cigarettes and the screen is 9 inches.
Johnny, have you done an episode on rental-only games, covers, and accessories?
We have not.
I think that episode would be hard because distinguishing real rental-only stuff from people say this is rental-only stuff might be difficult.
Which is exactly why we haven't done it. Because we were like, how do we tell for sure? What's bullshit? It is something we've looked into a little bit.
That would require work and journalism, and is better suited for someone who's maybe more passionate about the topic. Because because the concept of rental only is kind of such BS. What are the top 5 games featuring a celebrity on the cover? What?
No, that's like an episode. That's a Dumb Johnny episode.
I can't think of one. So maybe some wrestling games. Maybe.
I mean, what are we talking about? Like Alex Trebek and like Pat Sajak. You want some awful ones?
Pat Sajak on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, it's an awful
3D one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't,
like,
these questions I have to be able to answer unprepared, so I can't answer this question.
Like, it's like, also I need like guardrails. Like, what do we consider? Like, are we looking at like Kyle Petty on the Super Nintendo being like, he's a celebrity?
I don't know who that is.
He's a racer. It's a racing game.
Oh, okay. Is he related to someone more famous with the name Petty?
I don't know, Tyler. That's all I got on him.
Kyle Petty's what I got. All right. I'll call him a celebrity, yes. Days of
and
Thunder,
then like
Tom Cruise, got it.
Yeah. Oh, like, are we? Well, that's my next question. Like, are we counting movie games? Like, does the celebrity have to appear as the celebrity?
Yeah, Tom Cruise is on the movie poster. He's not on the NES box.
Yeah, but like, let's say they are. Like, let's say like Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, right? He's on the box.
A celebrity on the box.
Like, that's just him in the movie though, or do we need them to be like as themselves, not as their movie character on the box?
No, I think it counts if it's the movie character, Johnny. We're not doing this episode. I literally don't know enough about celebrities.
I'm just looking for clarification. It could be a dumb After Dark. I do.
Okay. You gotta get me on the After Darks. We gotta do an After Dark on ideas like this. This is the perfect thing to just ramble through on an After Dark.
Yeah.
But not box arts. We're an audio podcast. We can't talk about box arts.
Guess we'll have to make it a video. Videos for 2024, Tyler?
No.
Are we showing our faces?
Absolutely not. Even though
Tyler.
everyone would love it. If you want to have, like, if we do 2 Collector's Quests episodes a year, like cut the audio podcast and put out 2 YouTube videos instead, then we could switch to video.
Could we do 1 episode where we do video?
No.
Okay.
I hate it.
Look, guys, I tried. I just like, everyone's always like, Johnny, like, have you? And I'm like, I'm telling you, fucking Tyler hates this. He will never do it. And they're like, come on. And I'm like,
there's a podcast for you. It's called the Lost Joystick Network. They do a live stream, not only video podcast, it's a live stream video podcast on both Twitch and YouTube. Your choice. They've got like production out the wazoo. And you could join them when they took a break for the holidays, but
you can call in sometimes.
Yeah, you can get Chefish is there. You got John Young is there. You got Robbie, the NES apologist is there, and those are the 7 people who watch the show.
Milwaukee Retro Gamer.
It's a good time. All right, Johnny, we need to move on to what are you buying? What are you playing?
Okay, Tyler, let's talk about that. What are you buying?
Oh, you know what? No, while we're on the podcast train, do we shout out Get the Greg Games has a new game collecting podcast?
Why are we shouting out this podcast?
Because there's not a lot of game collecting podcasts out there.
We have like so many people who actually in our Discord who have podcasts.
And I shout them out too. I love Bird Dog Gaming. Bird Dog Gaming does a YouTube podcast.
I would much rather shout them out. If you're into sealed games, then go look at Get the Great Games. I just don't respect it. Like, I looked for 15 years. No, but you were just a kid who had games. It's fine. It's not a judgment on him or the quality. Go listen to it if it's your thing. If you need some content, I'm glad there's more of it for you. Get the Greg Games podcast. Please enjoy.
He's the most respectable person in the graded games space, Johnny.
Besides
if that's the maybe Josh Byerly, what a respectable gentleman he is.
If that's the space he's operating in, great. You could also go listen and watch the Video Game Collectors podcast.
That's another great podcast. They're way better than us. They get like guests and do interviews, and they have a video which we don't have.
We could turn on our Skype cameras as well or whatever.
They're like showing stuff that the Josh will just like pick something up and show it off, and they've got like screen share going on. Johnny, you're getting me worried about our production quality here.
Oh well, I guess if you want to step it up, then just let me know, bud.
Hell no. We're here for the background noise. You know what? I was about to say, like, we go for 3 hours. How long does Josh go for? They go for
like 3 hours.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you buying? What are you playing? Those are our shout outs. Go listen to some other podcasts.
Well, what about we've got more podcast people on here than that. Like
Divertov does the Homebrew Game Club if you're into NES homebrew.
Well, we got Bird Dog. He does some YouTube content.
Yeah, he's got a podcast on there that I really like. It's a lot like us. They're very similar minded to us. That's why I love that podcast.
So anyways, yeah, there's a lot of podcasts you can go check out if you so desire. Let's see. Tyler, I bought Die Hard.
For Nintendo?
No, for the PC. Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza.
Why?
A small box PC game. Because I'm like, I did a dumb like a few Christmas videos. And I was like, oh man, I gotta like show these things. Like I want to show some Christmas games. And then I was like, I was like looking into other Die Hard games. I'm like, oh man, they made another Nakatomi Plaza game, like based on another Die Hard based off the first movie. Because there's 4 that actually came out that are like Die Hard games. And I was like, and then there's this late PC game in the 2000s. So I found it. I was like, this is cool. I'll buy that. So like one day when I'm showing off like some Die Hard games, this will be one of them. And then I got Santa's Christmas Adventure.
What? Is that PS4. Just a PC game? For PS4?
No. Yeah.
I love the super specific holiday console games because it's like something that you can't just have sitting in Best Buy all year. So I kind of love the bold decision to make a completely seasonal game like that.
I missed, they released a new Grinch game that was on the Switch, and it went on sale and like went out of stores by like the first week of December or something, and I missed it. Yeah, pretty sad about that.
It will be on eBay.
It will be, but it wasn't going to be like the $20 it was. So I missed that. That's like pretty much what I got. I bought records, so like, I only have so much money, Tyler.
Johnny, Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza is a game that comes up sealed, or at least it used to. There's a bunch of new old stock of it for cheap.
Yeah. Yes, I've got for $10.
So yeah, I've seen it come up, and I've tried to find a reason to buy it. Like, I like Die Hard, and like looking at the game, like I cannot find a reason that it would be worth buying even for like $10. It's like I'm trying to find like, did someone work on this? Is this like some kind of genre that would be cool to own? Like, no, nothing about this is cool to own.
It's made by Sierra.
Die Hard. Cool. It's one of their most popular games that you never heard of until you saw it on eBay one day, which is the same reason I know it exists.
Look, Tyler, if you needed a game for Christmas, if you were doing a Christmas challenge, what an excellent game.
Yeah. You get to
there you go.
argue about Die Hard being a Christmas movie with people.
Yep.
Right.
That was the point of my whole thing. Anyways, what I play? I played some Jedi Survivor. At the end of that, probably finished that this week, and a little bit of Diablo. That's what I did.
You're still not done with Diablo? You mention it every week.
Well, because I play with my friend. Like, we play for like an hour or something, like at night, like 10 o'clock. We play from like 10 to 11 usually.
I just need to clarify to my friends who don't listen to this podcast. I had 3 of my friends came up to me, and they were like, "You want to play Baldur's Gate 3?" And I, like, my good friends who I would want to play video games with, I'm like, fuck no, I don't want to start a 200-hour RPG with 3 friends where we all live in different houses. Like, maybe if you were my college roommates, I would consider it, but like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm sure, like, I'm still in Act 1 with Ada, like, we're about done with it, but like, I bet those guys aren't out of Act 1 yet.
They might be. Taking you a long time to get out of Act 1, buddy.
I mean, what's my playtime on this? We are very meticulous. Yeah, we're like a little over 40 hours. We're stupid. This is just how we do it.
Yeah, when I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna play Diablo, and you're like, ugh, you will probably go too slow for me, and you're just like the slowest.
I play Baldur's Gate and Diablo very differently, but yeah. Okay. Johnny, I bought a Steam Deck. That's in contrast to my last episode. Like 4 people pointed this out to me. But yeah, last episode I said I'm not going to buy a Steam Deck. I have willpower. And like literally 4 days after that episode went up, it was the Steam sale, and there were so many games I wanted to play. I'm like, oh, I should play these on a Steam Deck. And I bought a Steam Deck, and it's fine. It's cool.
Good job, Tyler.
It is really cool. I actually like the touchpads, which I did not expect because I hate the Steam controller, but the touchpads feel like the future of game inputs. They're so good.
Okay.
Johnny, more importantly, I have a correction to make in the Collector's Quest canon. We have multiple times said there are games that maybe you just need to appreciate and not buy. In the first 6 days of this calendar year, I've played through all of Wizardry 1, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord.
No.
And damn, that's a pretty good game, Johnny.
No,
that is
Tyler.
I played through the NES version, which is it's very similar to the computer version. It just has like menus instead of some type-in crap. So it's a really good version to play. It's my favorite NES RPG that I've played. It's better than the Ultimas. It's better than Final Fantasy.
No.
It's a really good game.
No.
It's simple, it's straightforward. It's like, I don't know, probably 10, 15 hours long if you're doing it for the first time and not looking at maps, which is great because I think most games are too long and this one's like kind of reasonable.
I played through it as a kid.
It's a good game. It's like a solid 7 out of 10, which in terms of NES RPGs is the absolute top.
No. Final Fantasy 1 is so good.
It's all right.
What are you talking about? You're a crazy person.
I always thought that every time I tried to play Wizardry, I've tried to start it a few times just throughout my life because I know it's important, and it's just like, oh, it's just entirely text-based interface, and you have to manage 6 characters. It's like, oh, fuck this game. I just thought it was like the most archaic thing, but maybe it's because I'm getting older or something, but something clicked with me, and I sat down and I made some graph paper maps, and we just went and did it. And that game is actually a lot simpler than it seems. It takes forever, like setting up 6 individual characters, but once you're just sitting there grinding and going through mazes, it's a very simple game. I'm changing my perspective on Wizardry. It's a good game to own and a good game to play and collect. History is so hard. Who thinks about this stuff? This is why we have another podcast. Shout out, Johnny. They Create Worlds. We're going to shout out the They Create Worlds podcast.
That's a good podcast.
That's a video game history podcast. That's not a garbage podcast. That's one of those original research podcasts.
Yep. I like that you just call us a garbage podcast all the time. Thanks.
No, we're in the middle.
We are in the middle.
We're what are we? Editorialized content.
We are edutainment.
Edutainment. I hope we're entertaining, Johnny.
I hope so. People listen to us for over 3 hours. All right, Tyler, we did it. That's it.
It's 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, let's do it. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. I'm sure you disagree with a lot of our ratings. Let us know. You can do that by being on our Discord, which you can get to through our Patreon. That's at patreon.com/collectorsquest. And you can join to get to the Discord for $2, or for $4, you can get our bonus After Dark episodes. Or don't do any of that and just listen to us normally. That's totally fine. Anyways, that's it for the whole show. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are having a good start to your new year, and we will talk to you soon. Maybe we'll see you soon, Tyler. Maybe we'll see them soon. Huh? Maybe? Probably not. Bye!